Hello, and welcome back to the Great Game Debate Podcast, where friends come together to respectfully discuss, debate, and disagree about video games. As always, I'm your host, Katie Bertha Lane, and of course, joining me is none other than the godfather of the debate himself, Jonah Gomez. How you doing, buddy?
I am great, man. I'm excited for this episode.
Hell yeah.
It's weird because like this is our third year doing the podcast and it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
The listeners are missing out on a very beautiful and well-decorated Christmas tree in Joe's background that has Monkey D. Luffy's hat as the star on top of the tree.
As is tradition.
Yeah, pretty sick. And of course, that is none other than the man with the golden voice himself, Mateo. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, man? I'm doing pretty good. I've got no complaints. I've had a real lazy weekend and got some gaming in, man. What more could I ask for?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, in this year of just overwhelming volume and quality in video gaming, what more could one ask for? And of course, we are not complete without our fourth, the Saucy Aussie, Stephen Beaumont. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. I just come around the corner because last week I messaged you guys at a weird time, and I actually contracted pneumonia. Was collapsed in a pharmacy with a fever and pneumonia. Took a ride to the Hozzy and then got some antibiotics into me and slowly recovered, but felt like I was drowning in my own juices for a few days.
That is scary.
But on the other side, I just wanted to say a massive shout out to the patrons, because hearing me on this one and also the last episode, you would have heard that I didn't drop my mic out, so it's because the patrons funded a new mic for me. So
Yay!
Thank you very much, patrons. That's awesome. Thanks personally to Wes. He definitely helped out there. So yeah.
Well, yeah, we're certainly happy to see you happy and healthy on the other side of all that. That's scary, dude. So glad you made a full recovery. And we're full on Voltron morphing this week because our left hand has returned to us, Wes Bates from the GGD Gaiden podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Nice.
Hello. Nice to see you. Nice to see you all again. Nice to see you, Steven, in good health. I didn't know that happened to you, man. That's terrible. That's awful.
Yeah. It wasn't great.
My dad actually died of pneumonia, so that's scary. That can go real south.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, once again, audio listeners are missing out because for this recording, Wes has returned to his old haunt, the closet in his master bedroom.
There's no better place to record a podcast than in the closet.
The sound dampening is to die for. Incredible.
I'll tell you what, I'm getting better sound quality here than I'll ever get on Gaiden. Let me tell you. I only do this for you guys, all right? That's it.
Well, everyone, I hope you stopped by Moon Cradle Village and picked up Garl's pot lid because it's time for the icebreaker.
Didn't get my camera this time.
Congratulations.
Always improving on the podcast.
Icebreaker question this week comes in from a friend of the show, community member and previous guest, Holden Hintz. And the question is, I at least know Steven must frequent the Board Game Geek website because of his knowledge. On that website, there is a number given to every board game known as their weight. It does not measure the physical weight, but rather the heaviness of the gameplay. The rating is between 1 and 5. A 1 game being the simplest possible, like Tic-Tac-Toe, and a 5 being the longest, most complex game, a la Gloomhaven. That being said, do you think this rating scale would be particularly useful for consumers with video games? And what video games would you rate a 1, 3, and 5 personally? And he represented Stanley Parable out of 1, Guitar Hero out of 3, and Cuphead out of 5. I'll toss it to you, Steven, since you're kind of called out on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, I got called out. I'm not as knowledgeable about board games as I might seem. I've been playing a heap because we got my son just had his birthday, and we got about 5 new board games and stuff, or card games, a lot of card games for his birthday, and they've been all awesome. But yeah, I 100% agree, especially when you're trying to onboard kids.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things about Gen Alpha kids and stuff like that is resilience and not not being perfect at something right away is
Mhm.
for like young kids. So like, being able to tell my son that, okay, like, yes, you've smashed out Mario Odyssey or whatever, and that, like, I don't know, what would you give Mario Odyssey, like a 2 weight? Because
Two or
it's like,
three. Yeah, I
you know,
think
it,
it could
it
be a
definitely
3.
ramps up in difficulty, but the onboarding is so good
Right. Yeah.
that just to get through the story mode is pretty chill.
Yeah.
Man, I really like that system though, because
It's
that's
nice.
asking how difficult is this game, not
Mm.
how good is
I-
this game,
I-
which
Right.
is
Exactly,
mostly
yeah.
what games are rated
Mhm.
on.
Would every
Yeah.
would every Nintendo game just be a 3? Because Nintendo is
Close to, yeah,
more
close to
like
that,
more than
yeah.
anything else, they're designed for
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
everyone to enjoy.
Kirby, dude. Kirby's
I
think
don't know,
Kir-
dude.
I
I'd
think
say
Kirby would be
Tears
a
of the
1.
Kingdom is a 5, dude. That game, the controls are complicated
Oh,
and the combat
yeah.
gets
Into
kind of
that.
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Tears
Is it
definitely
difficulty
high.
though, or is it like investment and like depth?
Well,
Oh,
it's a bit of both. It's definitely a bit of both. So like definitely a lot of RPGs would be on the
Complexity.
higher scale because of the amount of systems. Like for instance, like obviously, a Souls game would be a high, not because just of straight difficulty, but also the systems in it are
Yeah.
complicated to understand.
Yeah.
So
That's
you'll
an
definitely
interesting
be
point, Wes, because if you look at like bullet hells, it's like in terms of rules complexity, 1,
Pretty
but
simple.
difficulty 5. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
And I think most, like, say Kirby would be a 1 with an asterisk because it's like base game 1, but the end of Kirby
Right.
and the Forgotten Land or whatever,
instead of in-game
I haven't been,
systems
I have
already
I have
fine.
not beaten the post game boss in that, and I beat every single boss in Elden Ring, but I haven't beaten the last boss in Kirby because it's just so intense.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're gonna
So-
say for difficulty, I think like rules complexity is a
Rules-
You
useful
Yeah,
heard it
definitely.
here first. The final boss in Kirby is harder than Millennia.
Harder than
Suck it,
Millennia,
Elden
yeah.
Ring. Step it up.
Yeah, dude. You just gotta go with Kirby's toolbox. You can't just grind and make some kind of cheese build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the thing about Kirby Endgame is that it's always boss gauntlets, so you'd never have any health by the end of the boss gauntlet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Makes it
so
good.
yeah, I definitely think so. So yeah, so as I said, like Kirby at a 1, let's say a 3 is like, I don't know, like a man, that's tough. I think Mario Kart could almost be a 3. You know?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
like
I've
any
seen
sort,
those,
almost
like,
any
struggle.
racing game could be a 3, like a Forza like a Forza
Understanding, yeah.
Horizon, like and then like 5 obviously, like Sekiro, like that's a 5. You know what I mean? Like
Gran Turismo.
yeah, exactly. That's so much more intense because it's so much more detailed than a Horizon, which is more arcadey.
Sure. Yeah. Wes, help me out here. I'm trying to think of like the 1, 3, and 5 of Souls likes. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and throw Lords of the Fallen on top with a 5 in terms of rules complexity because there's so much. You've got like throwing weapons, and you got changing to the Umbral Lamp to like rip people's souls out and go into the Umbral Realm, and there's a weird like parry block system with posture instead of like just getting a Dark Souls parry equals a
Actually,
riposte. You know,
that
like,
sounds like a 2 to me.
I don't know if
Bit of
there
a-
is a
bit of a
one
snore
that
fest.
you could put on a Souls like
You
necessarily.
think what about, like Hollow Knight for a 1 in terms of like just the complexity of the mechanics? I mean, I know it's a difficult game, but the complexity, you're just jumping and hitting.
But
Yeah.
as people that aren't big fans of Metroidvanias, they always bring up the map and not being understanding where they're meant to
Good
go.
point. Good
So
But
point.
Hollow Knight's like an 80-hour investment if you really want to get into it as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So
that's
I
got to be
guess
up
I
to the
can't put
4.
that
It's
I reckon,
legal,
yeah, that
included with weight. That feels like a different metric.
It's what? One is what? Ghouls and Goblins, dude.
yeah, easy. Well, like, it's an arcade game, so all you need to do is put in money, and then when you die, then you beat the game.
Yeah, pay to
So,
win.
yeah.
Easy. Well, anybody else feel like throwing out some 1, 3s, and 5s? Are we ready to move on?
What are the 1s, 3s, and 5s of Zelda? We already covered that Tears of the Kingdom is the 5.
3 would be
I mean,
Link to the Past, right?
Yeah. I would
That
say
sounds
it's got to be one of
solid.
the 2D
I'm not
ones.
sure
for
about a
1.
1. Maybe like a 1 would be like Hyrule Warriors. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
smash any button, move forward on the analog stick, and you're good.
Yep.
You're gonna win.
I think Skyward Sword would be a 5 because you have to
Oh my
actually
God.
force yourself to play the game to the end.
Uh,
That's a trial in and of itself.
yeah.
Oh man.
Sick. All right. Well, thanks for the question, Holden. And I I guess hold on to your butts, gentlemen. It's our annual GGD GOTY episode. So we're having kind of like a round robin top 5 of each of our personal GOTYs. And I guess
Do
I'll
I
kick
still
things
need to
off.
be holding my butt?
Oh yeah,
We just-
definitely the whole
please.
time.
The entire
whole
episode,
episode.
dude.
The whole time.
Yep.
Okay.
Hands don't leave cheeks, please.
It's
Keep 'em there.
either. Can I just,
How am I going to write my timestamps?
Use your mouse,
You
dude.
have to get creative.
Either we roll it back and it's just GGD, great GOTY debate, or it's GGGGD,
Ooh.
great game GOTY debate.
Great game, GOTY debate. Yeah, very nice. So yeah, just so the audience can keep up with us, we'll be staggering it forward for each set of, our 5s or 4s, so the same person doesn't have to go last, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I guess for our edification, maybe we could have our breaks in between each
Makes sense.
set of 5s, 4s, and 3s, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well, as our esteemed guest from GGD Gaiden, I kind of want to kick it to Wes to kick us off with his number 5.
All right.
What is this, a crossover episode?
You know you've made it when you start having crossovers. You got more than one show you can cross over between. So we did it, guys.
Oh, yeah. We did it.
All right. So my number 5 is Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, let's go.
For sure.
Just show of hands who's played that, because I haven't.
I've not. I've watched footage. It looks
More than
sick.
half.
I had it at my number 5, and then I kicked it off just because I hadn't completed it yet.
Mhm.
So
Nice. Oh, and I guess
and
before we get into the discussion proper, Wes, for everybody else, if I guess if your game is higher up in your list, but somebody else brings it up first, I guess do the discussion.
We'll get
then.
the discussions here. Yeah.
Big shout out to Wes because he is the reason why I've been playing Spider-Man 2.
Nice.
He sent me his copy, so
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
I'm like
Wes,
I'm
man.
like right at the end too. So
Respect.
He's like our patron of games. I play Ghost of Tsushima.
he's our
because he sent
patron
me
of
his
the
PS4.
podcast and our patron of the
Literally,
game.
yeah.
I got to keep you guys running somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to pay all that money I extorted back somehow.
Yeah. Let's cover up. All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Now for real, Wes. Spider-Man 2.
All right, Spider-Man 2. So I really there was no other game this year for me that just felt as like easy to play, just like pick up and get into as Spider-Man 2 was. The gameplay, I think they have just like slowly and like every iteration that they come up with in that, it just like tweaks it up just a little bit more. And the first game, 2018, was amazing already. It was a great video game. I felt like they just stepped it up a notch in Miles Morales. I love playing Miles like way more than playing Peter anyway, and his Venom abilities and everything. I really enjoyed that. So the fact that you could like switch between the two of them, like I still get Miles in this, but they add a couple of little mechanics, a couple little quality of life improvements to everything that just makes it that much better with the traversal. I love the web wings that they added to the
100%.
game. It just makes getting across the city from one point to the other that much easier, especially since they increased the landmass of the area that you're traversing, and there's like giant sections of water in between. And so getting across those water sections used to be a real pain in the butt. Trying to go, where's the bridge? I got to go to the bridge and swing across the bridge. Well, now you can pretty much go anywhere and move across. And
I love that you can like hook on to multiple points and like just slingshot.
Yeah, the
yourself
slingshot.
apart.
That's
yeah,
cool.
that's so great. It's so great. And so I just love the little tweaks to combat. I like the fact that like in the old game, I know this is kind of a contentious issue because some people like this and some people don't, but the extra abilities aren't linked to the costumes anymore, which for me I personally like because some of the costumes just look really stupid.
Yeah.
But I like the abilities on them. So if I want to use those abilities, I have to look like a total tool, which I didn't really love.
But the thing about that was, all you had to do was unlock the.
You could
suit,
mix and
then
match
you
them in the
then
first
you could mix
game,
and match, transmog the abilities.
But I guess you still had to go through the trouble of getting the suit. But hey,
Yeah.
maybe a certain Zelda game could learn something about attaching abilities to clothing.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But
But yeah,
and then the other thing about the game that I really liked is it's not just linked to big action-packed set pieces. It has plenty of that, but there are a ton of just smaller moments. There were like 2 times when I was playing this game. I don't like cry at video games like pretty much ever, but I got damn close like 2 times playing this game, and it just had some just really genuine sweet moments. that they put in there, and I really appreciate that. And the gameplay isn't just playing as Spider-Man because it's Insomniac. They put in a lot of like other little things to kind of like break up the action. So there's a section where you're controlling these little drones, and you have to shoot a bunch of stuff. It feels kind of like an arcadey shooter, and another one where you're like controlling this little spider bot, and it's like
Yeah.
everything's like way bigger because you're this tiny little drone. And
Yeah.
That's
Do they
awesome.
still have those
Perspective shift,
abysmal
it's
like
cool.
Yeah.
stealth sequences in the first game, or did they get rid of those?
They do have, like, they have big bases basically, right? And you
Yeah.
can do the whole base in stealth if you want, if you can get away
And
with it.
they're so much better than original because they're not monster closets in that you've finished wave one.
Oh, but I mean
stealth,
like just playing
they-
a non-superhero who has to stealth their way through a
They're-
level. They don't have that
Oh,
anymore.
no, they do
yes,
have that.
Yes, they do.
They
do.
The
The,
MJ
the Mary,
section.
the
is
Mary
better,
Jane
though.
sections in this
They are
like,
better though.
Mary
They
Jane
are
is stronger
better.
than Spider-Man has ever been. In
Oh
this
shit.
game.
Okay.
and
They gave her a
freaking
taser,
incel,
dude.
yeah, and incels on the internet got mad about it. you know you're doing something right if the incels are
Yeah,
getting up.
whatever aggravates the
True.
incels, I'm for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll jump in just because this is also on my list as well. I would give this, it would easily be my far and away third favorite game this year if it wasn't for all the bugs. I had
Yeah.
horrible bugs. And when Wes was bringing up like the drones and the spider bot and stuff like that, and the bike especially is hugely bugged and terribly
I had
programmed.
problems with the bike too.
And I got turned into a little square, like white square and stuff like that.
What?
But yeah,
That's
they
funny.
were they were the big things that brought it down. I think, but they've perfected the movement, the actual Spider-Man movement, and the bases have been upgraded so much. From, as I said, they're no longer monster closets in the fact that you finish wave 1 and it doesn't matter that you were in stealth. Now they just know where you are because you're in wave 2. It's like if you do it full stealth, there won't be extra reinforcements called in, and you just finish that base. And
That's
it's just
so
really
cool, dude.
immaculate.
Nice.
And
What
the
What a
the-
good QOL
the-
feature.
Yeah, the spider zip line or whatever is so
Yeah, I heard
OP.
about that.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
insanely OP, and you can just put like I can't remember how many it is. It definitely
it's
caps
5.
out on
I think it's
memory.
5.
You
Yeah.
reckon it's about 5? I've definitely you feel like you could shoot a heap and you can cover the entire roof of somewhere and just be walking all across it. Double,
awesome.
you know, you can unlock a double takedown ability and like you just completely clear a map. But they've updated the combat so much as well. The abilities and stuff are tied more to quick combos than they were to bring you up a radial menu, changing to the spider bombs, going back and then using the spider bombs and then change. So like everything is a lot more snappy. It's still not quite as good as Arkham, but it's that bloody close. It's so much better feeling. And the combat is still much more freeform than I found Miles Morales, which was like get your Venom ability, use the Venom ability to take out the enemy, whereas it's much more freeform, do whatever you want. So I'm just popping people up, still air juggling, but then they do these electric webs in the air that freaking electrify you and drop you down, and then there'll be an
Cool.
EMP dog that knocks out all your extra abilities.
Huh.
So like, they've really updated the combat in a really tangible way.
Yeah.
I think they really put their worst foot forward at the start because the first boss fight is this cinematic God of War, old God of War, just button, QTE
Yeah.
thing that was a bit of a mess.
I mean, as a
but
set piece though, it is so cool.
it's
it is-
cool-ish. I don't know.
Like,
For me, it's
when-
ish.
When he grabs you and throws you through the building and you go all the way
Yeah.
across the city,
Yeah,
and
but
then you have to
what
swing
did I
back,
do?
It's so
But what
cool.
did I do? I didn't do anything. So I
know,
like to.
but it's really
looks
well
neat.
paced. It's
it looks
really
neat.
well paced.
I am gameplay. I am 100% gameplay.
I know,
Gameplay.
I know.
So but then the halfway through the game, you get about 4 or 5 boss fights that are good, have mechanics, have
Yeah.
your Zelda do this thing to make them weak or whatever, and so really lifted their game on their boss fight. So it's
For
it's
sure.
very high for me this year, and
Just going back really quickly to the bugs. I don't think I had quite of a buggy experience as Steva did. I definitely had a few instances, but the bike, you called the bike out. The bike, I had this
Oh.
hilarious thing where you're supposed to be doing this like there's like a time trial thing.
Yeah.
You're riding the bike
Yeah.
through the park. And
Yeah,
I
it's
went
horrible.
off this jump and the bike landed and the front tire of the bike just got stuck in the ground. So the back
Same
tire
thing
was just
happened to-
lifted up. And you're
Exact
just
same
still
thing happened to
pedaling
Brendan.
around and
yeah.
It was like he's pedaling
Yeah.
through concrete, just like
Yeah.
But he wouldn't.
really
funny.
Like I couldn't get it off, and I was about
Yeah.
to lose because it was stuck, and I don't even remember what I did. Somehow I popped the bike back out and like got through with like 1 second to spare. The trial, I
Nice.
finished it up. I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
well
so
at least it
weird.
didn't.
The physics on that bike are just so
It's
because
horrible.
it doesn't feel like you're riding a
It doesn't
bike.
feel like a bike at all. No.
That's funny. It's the Master Cycle Zero, bro.
Have you seen the mod
um,
where you can be Venom swinging around the city, and Venom can get on the bike and he can ride around on
Oh
the bike?
god.
What?
But yeah.
It looks like
That's cool.
Homer on the little crusty bicycle.
Yeah, yeah.
You seen that episode of The Simpsons?
Oh man, that's funny.
Very cool.
Alright.
There you have it, folks. Spider-Man 2 representing our first of the top 5. I guess we'll go clockwise here, so I'll throw myself in next. I guess I'll preface my list by saying I had a child this year and not a lot of disposable income. So a lot of what made my top 5 and what I played this year was predicated on whether or not I could play it for free or if somebody bought it for me. So
Ooh.
I just to make things easier for myself, I also just left games off that I didn't finish. So games that could have been on my list if I finished them would be Baldur's Gate 3, Lords of the Fallen, Lunacid, an indie game, and Resident Evil 4 remake. And I won't bore you with the details, but I listed 38 games that I wanted to play this year that I didn't even get to play.
Wow.
That's crazy. I
Yeah,
can't believe you're making Baldur's Gate 3 ineligible because you didn't finish it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
that's
I need to
crazy.
finish it. I need to finish it.
It's an
But,
interesting choice. I like it.
Yeah, I won't go into it because I've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but my honorable mention, because it didn't actually come out this year, is a Pokemon ROM hack called Pokemon Unbound, which might have been my number one game if it actually came out this
Mateo's
year.
falling asleep. Watch out.
Yeah, so,
Stop talking about that, Caden.
yeah. Play Pokemon Unbound. It's literally free because it's illegal, I guess. But anyway, my number 5 is actually another hack I played this year called The Legend of Zelda: The Sealed Palace, which actually did come out this year. And this is cool because you see these kind of projects all the time in modding communities that are so ambitious and they just never get finished. Especially like big, large-scale remakes of like Elder Scrolls games or full conversions of them that they've been working on for a decade or 20 years. And they just never get finished or canceled or whatever. So it's cool to actually see this come out. But I was really pleasantly surprised by this game. It's kind of like a alternate universe of Ocarina of Time. It's not really like a sequel or anything, but all of the dungeons in the game are original and like made from scratch. And it's like the size of Ocarina of Time. It's like playing a full another Zelda game, which was a really like nostalgic and like strangely like liminal and bizarre experience. But yeah, genuinely I thought some of the dungeons were like even maybe I liked them better than official Ocarina of Time dungeons.
Huh.
Maybe like one of the ones that stuck out the most to me was like a haunted mansion you go into, and the mansion is actually like a dream world inside of a painting, so you get sucked into the painting like Mario
Oh,
style.
I see why you like it.
Yeah.
Whole
And,
painted world thing going on here.
in the world, yeah. Halfway through the dungeon, it goes like Silent Hill, and the mansion becomes made out of like meat and like organs and shit. And so it was kind of their way of like reusing the like
Jabu Jabu?
inside of Jabu Jabu, yeah. And, it's just really, really cool and creepy. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions about that or anything.
I do. So is it all reused assets and textures, or did they add new stuff
Yeah,
into
so
it?
they actually made brand new assets as well. The
Awesome.
main thing that's
cool.
reused the most are the bosses. So there's no new bosses, but the boss arenas are different. Like where you fight King Dodongo, Dongo is inside of like a sand pit. So there's like quicksand pulling you to the middle, and levers are coming out and trying to hit you while you're fighting King
Interesting.
cool.
Like
King Dodongo. So
Cool.
they tried to remix the boss fights by giving them new arenas. But
So does that mean that your bombs will fall down into the sand? Is it?
yeah, I think if they fall in the sand, they will like start
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start
yeah.
towards
Is
the
it
center.
is it like pinball? I'm picturing like pinball like levers or something coming out of the sand.
No, levers are the little
Levers are
round
creature.
guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was thinking like pinball.
Yeah. But no, yeah, there's a lot of like made from scratch assets. Like the most impressive one, Jonah, is you start the game out doing a prison break from Hyrule Castle because you've been thrown in the dungeon by Ganondorf, and they've made like Hyrule Castle as a fully 3D environment from scratch because in the original game it's all just like fixed camera like backgrounds,
That's
so
clever.
Are you sure they didn't just pull him out of Oblivion?
maybe, yeah. No, if you have any love for Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, I'd say to make this a high priority. And again, because it's a community hack and they can't make money off of it, it's totally free. So
What's
Is
what's
it,
time to
it-
beat on this? Like how long did
Yeah.
it take you to play through?
it's about the size of like Ocarina of Time. So playing through it like as a first playthrough without knowing anything about the game, like it took me like 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
And it's
good.
like all the same amount of heart
Yeah.
pieces scattered around the world. It's got 100 Skulltulas with like rewards for getting them all. So yeah.
You have an
it's-
annoying fairy.
You do. I think it's still just Navi. So there you go.
All right, so you know what you're in for at least.
Yeah.
Did they up-res the textures at all, or does it just look like
They went for like N64 aesthetic. I think there's like a deal in the modding community where there's like a large portion of people that actually like to download the game onto an actual cartridge and run it on
Yeah.
original hardware. So
That's pretty
gave them
cool.
something that could
So
run
it's
on
still
the
got-
N64.
So it's got the same draw distance and stuff.
Yeah, it's at the same like level of fidelity for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I might check it out actually. That
sounds
rad.
Yeah, dude.
It sounds rad. 15
Alright.
to 20 is like it sounds perfect for like the length. Like
Yeah,
it's-
that's
Mhm.
That's the correct length for an action adventure game.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah, there you
correct.
All right, Steven, number 5.
All right, number 5. First of all, I've just got to give 2 shouts because it didn't make my number 5 to Dredge and Chia. Sorry, couldn't quite make it. Fantastic games in their own right, but they just didn't quite make it. And I haven't finished Sea of Stars or Baldur's Gate 3. So my list for the Gaiden top 10, community top 10 may be different by the time we get into January. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, without further ado, this is the first game of a massive series that I've ever beaten, and that is Final Fantasy 16.
Whoa!
Hey.
Oh,
Wow.
job,
Yeah.
dude.
So I'm surprised and a bit upset with myself that I couldn't give it to like Dredge or something, but I'm just like, it was a fantastic game. It's definitely not perfect. It's got it's very linear. It definitely has what as I said, first one I've beaten, but the discourse about Final Fantasy 13, which was like one straight hallway, and then at the end it opens up,
John.
and then at the end it opens up, is what it felt like playing Final Fantasy 16, because like you do main missions, and then it's like, here's 2 side quests, then main missions, here's 2 side quests, and then you got to the end, and like they give you all of this amazing side quests right at the end, but I'm like, you could have seeded this so much better
Yeah.
and just like slowly built it up, because like it feels like, can you go collect wood? It's right next to me, but I can't reach. Can you get me that wood? And like, here's that wood, and like, oh man, you just made my day. You just got me that wood. That's pretty sick. I can't believe you did that, man. Like you're a hero. No, you're a hero. And then at the end, it's like, oh, this person and this person died, and all this sort of amazing culmination stuff, and all you changed my life for the better, and all this sort of, and it's like, oh, that's amazing, but you left it till the end. And like I was tired by the end, and so I was skipping dialogue. And that's how tired I was. So that's like where it falls short.
for sure.
The combat starts out okay, but then as you get more abilities, it becomes really cool. And as you master abilities, it's cool. Because I didn't get it. I was like, okay, I mastered it. Why aren't I stronger? And I didn't realize then you can transmog from you can have an ultimate ability, and then if you master those abilities, you can transmog your like your L1 and X, or your L1 and whatever your button combos. You can transmog your powers onto those master abilities. So that's where it gets really, really fun, because you have
Interesting.
this one's a big freaking area of effect
Yeah.
attack. This one's for just punching one guy. This one's for this, and you just do bang, bang, bang. It does feel a bit. It can feel a little bit AFK sometimes, because it's like combo, heavy, all your magic moves, and then it's like, cool, now they're on cooldown, so now I'll actually fight, do a bit of dodging, and then go back to it. But yeah, the boss fights are really sick. Shout out to that, although I don't particularly like the icon boss fights, which are the big kaiju battles. They're a bit AFK. It's just mash buttons and then win.
I was watching a Jacob Geller video, and he was talking about the Bahamut fight, and then he's like, "This is in the middle of the game," and I was like, "That's in the middle of the game? Like he's about to blow the world."
The Bahamut fight is probably the best icon fight because at least it makes sense spatially. Because so many of them, it's just like, where am I? Where am I in space? Because it's like I'm underground. Oh no, we're on top of the ground. Oh no, but it's all black and it's like
I really like the Titan fight. That was probably my favorite fight from that game. But yeah, I'm falling through the middle of the planet, and I have no context for why I'm falling through the middle of the planet or how I'm going to get back up to the top of the planet.
Yeah, the planet is the same. The planet is the same planet from Donut County. The Earth is hollow. But yeah, the Titan fight, it is cool, but it's very much what's that game? Azura's Wrath. It's like it's 100% Azura's Wrath.
Most of this game is trying to invoke Azura's Wrath. I feel like with all those, with all the icon fights.
I went from say it's like an I probably only ended up at an 8.5. Say I was at an 8. The ending is so incredible that it got that extra half a star from me. The ending is a lot of people say a bit whatever. I think it was fantastic. I was emotionally invested.
That's cool.
The characters get there, especially Gav and Clive and Jill and Sid. A few of the C-listers don't get that emotional investment from me. But Bahamut, whoever Bahamut is, I can't remember his name. Fantastic character. Top tier. Absolute 10 out of 10.
It's so annoying when RPGs do that, where they have that carrot on the end of the stick. That's the entire community telling you to just like, it gets good at the end. Like that was me with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I was just like really getting a little bit exhausted of that game, and then like the end of that game just like blew my mind. It's just like, damn it.
At least there's a payoff though. I mean, I haven't actually finished 16 yet. It's one that I intend to go back to. But yeah, it's just really grindy. And for me, the combat. I mean, they give you the new icons, but a lot of the new icon moves I found weren't better than the old icon moves.
There's usually there's usually like one good one from X amount of them, but some of them are completely useless. Unless you're probably playing at a higher difficulty or something. But
that seems like a shame. I keep hearing.
But
let you choose a hard mode.
The fact that it was in the RPG section of the TGAs is absolute bullshit. It's not an RPG. It is a character action game. There's no what do you call it? Effects on weapons. It's just like damage. There's no poison. There's no dark. There's no all this sort of stuff. Like
you pick your loadout, but I mean it's no different from Devil May Cry or Bayonetta.
Like choosing your weapons.
And that's it. You beat a main boss. Here's a new weapon. You beat it. Yeah, that's it. That's just how it goes. And yes, they changed the look of the weapon, but that's it.
Feels very Kingdom Hearts.
True. But so that's why I feel bad. It's like it's fantastic because the story gets there, and the gameplay is solid. But I don't feel good about putting it in my top 5 just because it feels like it's missing what should be, because everyone says Final Fantasy is their favorite series, ever, and I come into it and this is the one I beat. It's like if I had started with 13, and said like, oh yeah, 13's a really good game, and everyone just shaking their head,
So back when we were talking about our most anticipated games of 2023, a long time ago, this was one of my most anticipated games, and I said the thing that I'm most worried about in this game is that it loses some of the charm. And it loses some of the silliness, and that's exactly what happened in this game. There's I mean, you've got your dog companion, and that's all well and good, but everybody is so serious in this game and it's all there's
the blacksmith has the most hilarious arc where I don't care at all. He's just grumpy. I got kicked out of my village and I'm grumpy about it. And then you fix the relationship. He's like, oh, I'm still grumpy because didn't that suck that I got kicked out of my village?
Blackthorn. Yeah, but I feel like that's exactly kind of what happened with this game, and I feel like it's missing a little bit of that Final Fantasy charm as a result of that, which is unfortunate. I still enjoy the game enough that I intend to go back and play it. I had the other stuff that I was more interested in checking
Yeah.
out, and I'm well into this game. But yeah, I think that what I feared definitely came true, at least for my love of Final
Yeah.
Fantasy.
Yeah, because it's funny. I actually went and bought the DLC for Dredge, and just to see if that would kick it over the edge. And I was actually like, didn't quite do it. I'm sorry, and that's why Final Fantasy 16 just got in there. But I love Dredge though.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, glad to see Final Fantasy on the list, though. I can't wait to play it in like a year when it comes out on PC, but then a year after that because it'll be broken when it comes out on PC. So.
Clive is a sick ass protagonist, though. I gotta give it.
That's
I
why
gotta
I
give him
always
that.
hear.
Yeah.
And Ben Starr just as a person, dude. He's just
Oh
like
my
the
god, those
goat.
Yeah,
memes,
he
dude.
seems great.
Those memes
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the Game Awards, great,
Mhm.
top tier.
All right, Jonah. 5.
All right, since we're giving our lists that didn't quite make it, I just want to. It'll be quick. I just want to give a big shout out to Fortnite. The new modes that they've put in have been fantastic. The Lego Minecraft mode that they put in, super
Yeah.
fun.
Lego took 2 days of Sea of Stars from me.
That's been great. The racing mode's okay. It needs a little bit of tweaking, but they just dropped 3 game modes, and Harmonix is back with a banger rhythm game in Fortnite,
Yeah.
and it is so fun if you're playing on PC and you've got like an old Rock Band or Guitar Hero guitar laying around. You can map
Oh,
the
really?
keys to it and actually play. You can't use the strum bar, but you can use all the button inputs to actually play like guitar. It's super fun. So that's.
Can I just interject super quickly? I want to also give that a shout out because, like, you know, just like for me, like Tony Hawk games, but also for like Rock Band 3 or Guitar Hero 3, you know, introducing people to music literally happened to Jonah. He heard the song "I" by Kendrick Lamar.
Oh yeah.
This dude's pretty good. So yeah, so like shout out for introducing people to music,
Yeah.
like
Hell yeah.
Harmonix.
That's
like,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my honorable mention. But we'll go to my number 5, and most of what I played for my number 5 was playtest earlier this year, but the game did launch, so I can put it on my list. And that game is The Finals. If you are looking for a super fun, competitive first-person multiplayer game, that's the game right there. It's arcadey. It's kind of has this esports edge to it. It's very competitive. Unless you like competitive shooters,
What
it's
what genre is it? Is it deathmatch? Is it team deathmatch? Is it hero
so
shooter?
it's like objective based modes with kind of like a shooter twist to it. There's 3 size characters. There's small, medium, heavy. Each class has different like gear and weapons that they can use.
Is this Team Fortress? Is that
it
sort of
feels
style?
very similar to Team Fortress for sure. I was describing this as like the new Team Fortress 3 to somebody because it has those vibes, but it's like multiple teams of 3 trying to compete for a singular objective.
It's
just
like King,
chaotic.
It's like King of the Hill meets Capture the Flag or something, right? Like essentially that kind of combination.
Yeah.
By the way,
and
this
so
is
like
not your number 5, right?
no, this is my number 5.
Oh, it is. Okay, cool.
This
cool.
is my number 5. And so just like it's old Battlefield devs that left EA and DICE to come make their own game. And so the destruction is better than any Battlefield game's
sick.
destruction. You can have like a capture point like 3 levels above and set like C4 on the floor of your
Nice.
level and the roof, and then you can drop the objective through the multiple levels,
That's so
awesome.
and
cool.
it affects everything, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
I
So
know
it
people-
is capping points, or you said objectives? Are there more intrinsic object? Like are there more like complex objectives than just capping points? Or
So like the base game mode is you collect this little cube and you got to take it to a vault to like crack open that or you got to cash
Get a
the,
point or whatever.
the thing. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That is just on a single timer, and anybody can capture that. So like you have to go hold the point for like 3 seconds or whatever.
That's your capture the flag element. Yeah.
Yeah, but the timer doesn't reset when somebody captures it. So it adds this level of, oh, we got to get back to the point. Because like in a lot of games, if you capture a point and then somebody else recaptures it, it'll reset that point. It doesn't reset. It's still cashing out. It's just going to go to the other team if they get it at the last second. So they just add.
Right.
They just add.
So
like,
the timer's constantly going down, and so just whoever controls it right at the end gets the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
That's interesting. Oh, that's Shine Thief from I think it's like Double Dash. It's literally hold the shine and the numbers going down, and then whoever's got the shine at the end gets the point. Yeah.
Exactly like that. It's really fun, and it's all based off like heist and like money and whatnot, and it's really fun. The game's super goofy. It doesn't take itself seriously. I know a lot of people are like really against AI and AI voice acting and stuff.
Oh, this is that game. Gotcha.
This game has it. I had no idea.
Now we're all upset.
I had no idea. Like it's done really well. There's not like a lot of different like roles that there would have been, but I mean, it helps indie devs get good voice acting in their games.
I definitely understand the idea for indie devs. It's just a slippery slope for sure.
Yeah,
it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
Let's not get into a deep ethics discussion on AIs for another time.
let's get Mateo's game.
But my number 5 for this year is The Finals.
That's cool, dude.
Wow, I completely forgot what it was called. I thought it was Rivals for a second.
Dude, I made that mistake a bunch too.
I love seeing when people bring like a game I literally have not even heard of. Not that it's not famous. I just am not good at keeping up with like first person shooters. So.
Yeah,
it sounds really cool. I love the destructible
it's
environment
free to play
angle.
So if you want to hop in and try it out with me, you can. It's free to play.
Yeah, dude. But my kid's a toddler and I have free time and can leave them in the other room without thinking they're gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. All right, Mateo. Last number 5.
Ooh, okay. My list, I told you all my list was like a work in progress still to this moment. Jonah convinced me to change it. So unfortunately, my honorable mention is going to Dredge. In the Jonah just talking about like all these awesome multiplayer experience he had with the finals. The Lethal Company, dude. Lethal Company has been an interesting experience. I think it takes my number 5 spot. There is no other game that makes me not want to use Discord more than Lethal Company.
Wow.
Dude, their audio design.
Is it that toxic or no, just you want to listen to the game?
The gameplay,
dude, their audio design is fantastic because it's all based on proximity voice chat and it's all based on exploration and you're exploring spooky like abandoned warehouses and things. So you'll be chatting with your buddy walking through this, this goofy like dark hallway and then his voice just vanishes. Or you'll hear something grab him and you'll just hear his voice like vanish off down a hallway.
That's cool.
And it is so cool. Amazing. It is it's got this weird D-make kind of aesthetic to it. It looks grimy. It looks old. It doesn't look like a recently released game. The gameplay is simple. You just walk into like buildings. You're looking for scrap. You're walking out. So simple. Okay. But everything about the environment they've built and this big mystery of what is even the point of this? Why is there a tentacle monster that we're selling all this stuff to? Who knows?
So
it kind of looks like Half-Life 1 or Half-Life 2, right?
A little bit. It's got a really grimy kind of aesthetic to it. Yeah. Very D-makey. There's this thing in the game, like there's quicksand, but there's also like rain and like the ground will get dark from it. To this day, I cannot tell the difference between quicksand and normal sand when I'm walking around through the rain. So I'm just constantly stuck in quicksand dying.
What encourages the loop of collecting scrap, escaping and selling it? What's the payoff of selling the scrap?
It's a little bit like you're pushing a boulder up a hill and then the boulder like rolls down every day. I can't tell you what's so satisfying about the loop. There's honestly nothing satisfying about the gameplay loop except playing with your buddies and having these unique experiences and adventures and jump scare moments and things.
Is it procedurally generated maps or
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah, it's like the same planet aesthetic, but then everything else is just randomly generated, procedurally generated. It's different every time. There's a bunch of tools you buy. They do different things. That tells you almost nothing about what any of the tools do. Some of them are straightforward. You get a flashlight and a walkie-talkie, right? Easy.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get like a boombox that I still have not figured out what the boombox is for. Could not tell you. I know it makes you die real fast if you're inside of the warehouse.
Do you defend yourself, or is this a full like just escape room sort of horror?
You can get a shovel and you find like stop signs and yield signs and things inside that you can bonk things with. And we've killed things, but there's some things that are unkillable. We ran across these things that had like like the angels from Doctor Who, the weeping angels.
Oh, yeah.
Love the angels.
There's
tenant.
there's an enemy equivalent to that. They have these weird little coil heads, like
Very
they're
cool.
mannequins with their big heads on like a spring coil. And
Oh God.
you look away, you look
And what-
back, they're like right in
They
your
move.
face, about to kill
Oh
you.
damn, that's so good.
It's yeah, man. It's the most enjoyable multiplayer experience I've had from an indie game this year. Let's put it that way, because BattleBit Remastered almost made my list, honestly.
Mhm.
That was another solid, like, out of nowhere multiplayer experience, but this one's
Great
the top notch
destruction,
currently.
dude.
For
That
sure.
game's great destruction too.
Oh, talk about the Weeping Angels. Bioshock is very prominent for using that style of like look away and then it's behind you. So I realized you can break the AI by walking backwards.
Nice.
Because it only will actually attack you if you look at it. So you just walk backwards and then you walk past pretty much a T-posing enemy. You can just ditch.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's super cheap. It just came out. It kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if anyone was talking about this game before it released, but it kind of took over
Love it when that
Twitch
happens.
and YouTube and everything. It's everywhere right now. I think it deserves a spot in my top 5. I'm very indie focused, and I put a lot of time into it. It's been living in my head lately. It is my number one game that I want to play right here at this very moment. Let's just load it up, dude.
That's good.
Do we got to do anything?
Awesome.
let's keep going so we can get Mateo
You can
back
do this
to
while you're
play
playing.
this game. So,
All right, well, that rounds out our top 5, and we'll take a short break and come back for our top 4. All right, and before we get into our top 4s, I have to take care of some points that I missed. First of all, as always, shout out to our patrons. I think I like to make it a surprise every episode. Like, when are we going to shout out the patrons?
No lie, Caden. I thought you were gonna go back to the game you had pitched for your number 5 slot and be like, I forgot a few important things.
No.
The thing about Pokemon Unbound is
don't worry about it too badly because I didn't say it at all in our last episode. So
Nice. Well,
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
shout out to Dan Giesler, Pucho, Dakota Falk, and of course, Wes Bates, who's right here right now. Thank you so much, Wes.
shout out.
And of course, go listen to Wes's sister podcast, ours, GGD Gaiden, where they do community top
But ta-
10s.
But take breaks and drink water because it's like 4 hours long.
Yeah. And what is the topic of the most recent top 10 that people can listen to?
the last episode we came out with was robots, and yes, it was extremely long, but we were having a good time, and so it's tough to back the time down when you're having fun.
For sure.
Mhm.
True.
All right.
Sure.
And I'd also like to cover the result of our debate from our last episode, which was myself versus Jenna Stieber for best unkillable enemy from a horror game. And Jenna was representing Pyramid Head, and I was representing the SAX from Metroid Fusion. And surprising no
Sax
one...
Head, get it right. Get
Sax
it
Head, yeah. Sax Head did lose by 3 points. So, I feel like I represented it well. It was an uphill battle, but
Oh, we got
yeah.
some last minute votes because when I looked earlier today, it was drastic.
yeah, it was like one. Well, yeah, not that Jenna rested on her laurels or anything. She did an amazing debate. So yeah, go check that out. And with that, I'll kick us off for the top 4, rotating clockwise from west. So my number 4 is Metroid Prime Remastered.
Oh,
You know, it would be easy to kick this off the list. It's a remake. It's less than a remake. It's a remaster. It's just a visual overhaul, same exact mechanics. It does have the quality of life improvement of having traditional dual stick, control the camera and move with the other stick controls, which the original game did not have. And that's really nice. It just makes it a lot easier to explore and take in the world. But I mean, game holds
It's
up, dude. Like,
so much
oh
so
man,
good.
I think that game is probably
Uh,
in my like actual like top 10 of all time. Metroid
it's in
Prime. It's
mine.
just it's
It's in
amazing.
mine.
So yeah, people have had discourse about Metroid Prime since it came out, however many years ago. So I don't really need to say much, but I recommend it
Oh,
if you never played Metroid Prime. It holds up, even if it was a new game that came out today. So
I
go check it
still
out.
need to check that out because
Yeah.
I
environments, dude.
slept on the OG
Same.
and
hmm Yeah.
this came out and I was like, oh, I should check that out because I
hmm
love Dread, dude. Dread was awesome.
Mm.
So
Yeah, dude. There you go. Well, still fingers crossed we're gonna get Prime 2 at least as
Oh, that'd be so
a
good.
remake as well. But
Um,
yeah.
I just want to jump in. I put it off the list. I would give it a flat. It's 10 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
It would probably be my highest rated game of the year, but
Mm.
because it's
It's a
just a
remaster,
remaster, I
Yeah.
couldn't put it on the list. But it would easily, even after giving the weightings of stuff, it's easily my third best game
Yeah.
of the year, even though it's my highest rated. But
I
fantastic.
like to also say that seeing like Retro Studios come back to do that, like totally restored any fate that I might have lost that they couldn't
Uh,
pull off Metroid Prime 4. So
Makes
the
sense.
greatest thing is about it is without the the Coke bottle vision, the the rose tinted glasses. Some people played it for the first time and said it was fantastic. So
yeah.
that's cool because a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, that was pretty fun, like for its time. But no, people
Right.
said like that was really good. So I was stoked to hear that people enjoyed it this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
Caden, question for you: does this, since you enjoyed this new release of it so much, does that take over the spot of the OG in your top 10, or does it stick with the OG?
Only because it's more accessible for the average person, but there is something in like an OG Metal Gear Solid versus Twin Snakes of like just the growtiness of like the original graphics that's charming
But there's
in a way.
more.
For sure.
There's a lot more tinkering with Twin Snakes than.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
just like
I put.
mechanically and narratively it has
It's
issues.
funny. I put Metroid, Metro Prime and RE4 both in the same spot, both the remakes and the originals, because they're just fantastic. So
Makes sense.
Yeah. But if you haven't played either, then definitely just go for the remaster. Sure.
yeah,
Sick. All right. Steven, number 4.
super quick one because it is a super quick game, but the emotions I felt playing this, I literally played it with my daughter sitting next to me, family drama, cooking simulator, Venba.
Yeah, dude.
I need to check this game out. It looks
Like
so cool.
literally, you're in and out in 90 minutes, but you go.
Really?
It is this year's unpacking where like the story outside of the panels of the comic, Batman, freaking Bruce Wayne lives his life outside of the comic panel, that kind of thing. There's so much that's said outside of the chapters that you play, because you go from an immigrant family moving in, and then the kids at school, and then the kids in university, and then and then they're it's I don't want to spoil it. It's fantastic. It's super short. Like I said, it's 90 minutes long, but beautiful, and the story is told so well. I have a Tamil friend at work, and I really want to share it with them and talk to them about it, but they've been sick from off work for a long time. But I really want to talk to them about it because it's really cool. Yeah,
That is
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Love to see games spreading culture like Tachia, stuff like that. Sick.
yeah.
All right, Jonah, number 4.
Speaking of number 4, let's do some Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh, let's go. You know what's coming.
Yeah, dude, this game I've never played all the way through the original by myself. I've like tag teamed it with a buddy, and I've watched several playthroughs and speed runs and all sorts of things.
Dipman.
This game is phenomenal, dude. Just how they revamped the combat and everything, and being able to move while you're shooting, and just like the textures and everything. The game is freaking gorgeous. I love playing it on my what?
Being able to move and shoot, and how much more stressful it is because the enemies are so much more aggressive.
Yeah. But I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
I love how intense it feels. It even though like the action, it's technically more of an action game than the original. It's
Mhm.
more scary too because of how quick the enemies are.
Yeah.
The set pieces are awesome. I loved all the set pieces.
Mhm.
They tightened it up and took out certain parts, and then they threw them back in Ada's story.
Yeah, that was a really nice curveball.
DLC,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So like, I mean, I'll keep it in short and quick because I know it's probably on other people's lists.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this game is awesome. If you haven't checked it out, you really need to.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's it's everything I could have hoped for because I love RE4. I played
Yeah.
RE4, I think it's about 7 times this year. Waiting for
Hell yeah, dude.
RE4 remake. Just just upgrading my weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I love this game so much. And then playing it and being like, it pays. It similar to like Final Fantasy VII remake. It pays so many nods to the original, like, but flips it. Like you come from the other end of the building, or oh, I know this, or like they incorporate more context with where you are. Like, oh yeah, we're in more caves than a lab, and then it's like, oh, this scene is set here, where it's set here in the other thing, and you'll see references a whole bunch of times. But yeah, man, it feels so good to play. Looks great. Although I had to dock it. I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10, but I played it on the Series S, which had really bad texture pop in.
Yeah.
So that was it was
Fair.
big failing. If I
You
bought it
want
on
maximum
PS5,
graphical fidelity.
I'd probably have a 10 out of 10 experience.
sure.
But I didn't have the PS5 at the time. So
And-
that's the only dock it got for me was the texture pop in. Otherwise, phenomenal. Like
They made
flawless.
Ashley a good freaking character too.
Right.
Dude,
Monumental achievement.
She wasn't annoying. She was like, I was like, come on, Ashley, let's go. We're gonna go kick some ass. And it's like, oh no, you're getting grabbed. I gotta get you.
Yeah.
Wes, surely you have some thoughts.
I love this game. I played RE4 a few times. I generally and I enjoyed it. I don't have it typically held it to the same, I guess, standard as a lot of people. It's not like, oh, this is one of my top games ever. But it's undeniably a fantastic video game, and they just outdid themselves, I feel like, with this entry and remaking it and leaving in so much. I mean, they really didn't detract from anything. It only like added. I love how like the
and
map
the camp,
like,
which was good.
the map like folded back in and of itself, right? So you like in the first section of the game, you could like easily go back and backtrack to any part of the village, and it was just in this kind of like big loopity loop thing, which was really cool. Like you could get back from the Del Lago area back to the original village, and it was just great. It was a great experience from start to finish. I have yet to play Separate Ways. I have it bought and downloaded, and it's on my list of things to get back to. But just like 5 stars,
I think
absolutely
it's
banger.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steven.
Just two other bits. Yeah, the camp is still there, which is great because RE2 and 3 really stripped back the camp. And so I was worried that there was going to be 2 series, but it still has cheesy one-liners and stuff. And all of the trophies are the cheesy one-liners from the original as well, which is really cool. But the other thing about just how they developed from the original, like Regenerators were horrifying in 2005 or whatever time it was, but then they just upped the ante on it because of the lighting system, as well as because the sound was still just like phenomenal back in 2005. Like Regenerators are hideous sounding, but they made them extra scary in the remake. And
I just see him like slithering out of the dark on the ground like a snake. Oh my god,
and
awful!
Dude, they're
and
awful.
I'm pretty sure you can't do the SMG cheese. I haven't found a way to kill them without a heat scope. It's intense. You have to get the heat
because
scope.
you gotta get multiple shots with the SMG.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
more worth it to just use the sniper and
Yeah, for sure.
get those pinpoint shots on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that like the coolest thing about RE2 was that the original and the remake can coexist because they're so different,
100%.
and
100%.
that would have been a much more difficult goal to achieve with RE4 because it's such a more modern game, but it still feels like they pulled it off, and that the original and the remake can coexist, and it's still worth playing both as separate
There's
experiences.
some very different set pieces and puzzles, and it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Red.
Sick. All right. So, Mateo, number 4.
Ooh, number 4. Number 4 was one that I actually played at PAX West. So I think Jonah played it, and I'm pretty sure Wes played it as well. We got a little bit of a demo on this one, and then I kind of forgot that it came out and it released, and then I forgot, and like I didn't play it for like several months after it released, and then I finally like went and picked it up, and yeah, dude, Gumbrella.
Nice.
I was so stoked for this game at PAX West, and then I totally forgot that it even existed the second that I left Seattle. And I'm glad I went back to it because what kind of like turned me onto it in PAX West is the movement, and it felt so good. It just felt fantastic, and it's simple. Like you can jump, you can dash, you can float. Boom. There's your move mechanics, but everything combos together so well. The wall jumping works at the glide, into the boost, into more wall jumping. Plus, your guy has this long, goofy scarf. So, like, you see the scarf just flying all over the place. You're jumping around. It's phenomenal. The boss fights are nice and quick. It's like a 4, maybe 6-hour experience if you're not great at these kind of games. So it's nice and, like, bite-sized. It's great. It reminds me of, it makes me think of, like, Yondu. You know, Yondu was, like, Mary Poppins was told was, like, the ultimate badass to him in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This is
Mary
Yondu's.
Poppins,
this is what Yondu thinks the Mary Poppins movies were about. You're going for vengeance. You're killing people. You're fighting bosses. It is just a solid action platform that came out this year, and I usually don't enjoy those, and this one really grabbed me.
A lot
Can I just
darker
ask
than I
one-
was expecting too. Like,
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's a lot of gore
it's
and a
gory.
lot of blood. Yeah.
One question, because I've got to invoke the almighty DuckTales. Can you not pogo with the? Can you pogo or not?
Ooh, you
Can
can
you at least like hit a guy below you and bounce?
Yes, I don't know if you can straight up
Okay,
pogo,
good.
but I know that you can.
But you can.
Yeah, you can point your
Good,
umbrella
good.
down. Basically, I'm pretty positive.
Good. That's all I needed. I was just like, wow.
Yeah. It's on my list of 38 games I wanted to play this year.
Popping the umbrella open and it just like shoots you up. It's just
Oh, sick.
absolutely
Okay.
satisfying.
It's so
That's satisfying
satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's half the battle right there. All right,
Mhm.
Wes, round us out with your number 4.
All right, my number 4 is Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh, dude,
I always forget
love,
that game came out this year.
I love how diverse our
Yeah.
list has been so far, dude.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I feel like the story with most of the people that I know with Hi-Fi Rush is, oh yeah, I checked out the first level. It was cool, and then I bounced off.
Guilty.
That was me.
Guilty.
That was me.
Yeah.
100%.
I got 3 or 4 levels in, and then I
But,
I
I mean-
started playing something else.
This game, it's just an absolute treat from start to finish. The music is banging all the way through. I love the take of like taking a rhythm game and making it an action game and just combining those two. I can't think of another game. I'm sure there are probably other games that have done it, but I can't think of another one that does it like this. The aesthetics of the game are absolutely beautiful. It looks like a Saturday morning cartoon. I know that's a lot of people have said that, but it's true. It does. The character designs are gorgeous. This is one of the funniest games I played all year long. I literally had some like genuinely laugh out loud. Like I was crying. There's one section where just some of the like stupid gags, like Looney Tunes level type dumb stuff. This game has more charm and more personality than any other game I played this year, hands down. The boss
awesome.
fights are all super cool. There's a boss fight. Okay, this is a slight spoiler, right? There's a boss fight in this game where you have to fight like through multiple stages, and this boss is like building this super robot to wipe you out, and he's at the same time he's burning through his budget, right? Because you're fighting this corporation, and the whole point of the boss fight is to try to outlast this guy long enough that he can't finish his robot because he runs out of money, and they like defund him, and that's basically
nice.
what.
That's cool.
That's great.
Oh, it's so good. It's so funny. It's not a super long game. It's like 10 hours. You can get through it in a couple of good, decent sessions. And I love the fact that it also has a little bit of like Marvel versus Capcom built in, because you can call in your companions for quick assists, basically. And they assist in both puzzles and in combat, depending on what enemies you're fighting, and try to help like break down shields, or if there's certain enemies that are weak to certain attacks that you can't do yourself. So And just trying to
they-
stay on rhythm the whole time, it just
Yeah.
kind of made it a lot more fun. I had to stay focused a little bit more, and
that is
it was
cool.
a good time. It really came out of nowhere and shocked the hell out of me, and I super love this game.
Yeah, the combo animations with like your side characters are so cool. Like you just there's like the first character you get, you can grab them and just do like a flip kick with them, and then they just go off screen and they're gone. And it's
Yeah.
super cool. It's rad.
Some
Dashing
of
on
the
beat too is super fun. Like,
Oh yeah.
dashing on beat's cool. One thing that was really annoying was how some of the combos, the sound effects are off beat, even if you're on beat.
Oh
That really frustrated me, for someone that like music.
Yeah.
And my only other frustration was having played Sayonara Wild Hearts, and the songs say 3.5 minutes long, and that's how long a level is. The levels felt quite long. That was why I dropped off. I was like, man, that first level was like 20 minutes long or whatever it was. It felt just a
it does
bit
have
long.
long levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do have long levels for sure. Some of them are like an hour to get through.
But
Yeah.
it looked gorgeous. I just wish that if it was 5-minute chunks like a Mario game, I would be way in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being challenged, and you know, if you don't have that much time and have to sit down and to play through the entire thing,
And be
it can
on
be a
beat
little
the
bit-
whole time, yeah.
Yeah. So this is how much I love this game. Just and this is the last thing I'll say about it. I hate playing games on my laptop. I hate playing games on PC because I don't have a good place to like sit down. All I have is my little gaming laptop. If I'm gonna play, I'm sitting here with my, you know, little, I don't even think it's the 18-inch screen, right? I sat down and I played this game on my laptop because I enjoyed it so much.
Damn.
And it's one of the 2 games I think I played that way this year. It
nice.
made Game Pass worth it for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
this year.
for sure.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
High praise. All right, we're on to our number 3s. All right, Steven, if you'd like to kick off our number 3s.
I just want to really annoy any watching this video because I forgot to put the hyphen in.
I can still do that, yeah.
That's Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I love this game. I think it's the best combat in the series. I think it's the I like the narrative. I love the side quest narratives are phenomenal. The way they really it's so good because one of the biggest things about the thing I love about Batman is Batman believes in rehabilitation. But you don't see that in video games. It's like, oh, I've got to punch up this mentally ill person. Other than Mr. Freeze, like no one else gets sort of any sort of redemption-ish arc in the Arkham games. I haven't played Arkham Knight. I'm sorry, just the Batmobile sucks. But yeah, so the redemption arcs are phenomenal. The way it's like, you know, and you can just it's cool. They did an inversion of the Riddler, where it's like you collect them and you're helping someone rather than I'm going to track down the Riddler and we're going to catch him.
Nice.
The inversion of that. So like some of the stuff you're doing is, you know, whatever, but the story payoffs are really good. So yeah, I had a fantastic time. The glitches brought it down heavily, brought it down to a 9 flat for me, but I think it's the best game in the series personally. Even though it has horrible bugs. Yeah. Horrible end game costume, as I said in the previous podcast. That's worse than the Tears of the Kingdom final costume. So yeah, but otherwise fantastic.
All right, Spider-Man 2, rising the ranks. Jonah, number 3.
I loved Alan Wake 2, and that's my
Yeah.
number 3, dude. This
Nice.
game, it is like a nice blend between Saga's story being Resident Evil 2 versus Alan's story being a lot like The Evil Within 2. And just kind of mashing those 2 games together, you get like this crazy psycho thriller thing, and you're changing the world around in Alan's story, and then Saga, you're doing this investigative work, and you're going around all of Bright Falls, and you're trying to figure out what happened, what's going on with like a cult, and what's going on with the town, and
what's going on with Saga?
and what's going on with Saga because her life is changing, and like everything is crazy.
Yeah.
It's real like dude, I want to go deeper into it, but I'm gonna start spoiling.
Yeah, don't do
It's
it.
so
'cause
fresh,
I'm playing
yeah.
it right now, and I'm not that.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through. So
It's
yeah.
crazy.
When I watched
but-
Jonah play this game, he was just playing with dolls, so I don't quite understand the appeal of this game.
But like a pitch that I had, I think it was last week's pitch, but like the puzzles in this game are
puzzles.
super, super fun. And just like getting some of the collectibles and stuff. And I know a lot of people are really iffy on like the mind place and like the board thing, but it is such a fun way to like have your quest log and your notebook in any other game because it's your file board and you're
Yep.
trying to put the cases together and you get to have like some tactileness to it where you're putting the pictures up and you're putting them where they need to go. Yeah, you can only put stuff where it's supposed to go, but like you do feel like you're moving the story along with the,
I like
the
it.
board.
I like it a lot because it forces you to think about the story and about what's happening. You know, it's
Mhm.
not just like this is happening and then it's
Context.
and then you're and it just flies by your head. You have to stop and you have to think about what you're doing in order to place all the pieces together. You have because you're the one placing the pieces together yourself.
That's
And then like with like the puzzle like collectible stuff, each one has its own case file, so you know exactly how many you're missing in
Nice.
the different areas. So
Awesome.
Mhm.
you don't necessarily need to have a guide. The only one I wish they had were the deer heads that you could pet because that unlocks just like an extra spot in the game for you to get more gear.
Oh,
But
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
yeah,
Shades of Golden
Okay.
Idol with the
Good to know.
the clearly
Yeah.
marked puzzles. Cool.
yeah.
Is it the best
Um,
looking game of this year? It seems like it
Ooh.
might
One-
be.
Did it win Art
Ooh.
Direction at Game
I
It,
Awards?
think
it
it
won
did.
art direction at the Game Awards. I can understand, I guess, why it won art direction, but when I'm gonna vote for something for art direction, I want it to have not just a hyper realistic art
For
style.
sure.
The game looks fantastic, and what they do with like the live action stuff is phenomenal. It blends in. It doesn't feel kind of weird like it did with Control.
Yeah.
Like it just feels in world still. But yeah, that's my number
Those
3.
those TV commercials, dude. Those are
Oh
the-
my god, the Koskela brothers are
Yeah.
so funny. If
The
you're
one,
wanting a funny game,
oh.
this game is hilarious too. It's as funny as it is scary.
Right.
Mhm.
Can I just say, obviously I've already said it to you, Jonah, but I haven't said it on here. But the TGA's song and dance out of context was the
Insane.
opposite impact. I was like, I am so out. I don't know why they decided to do that. So I don't know.
Wes,
The
have
out of
you got-
context, it
have
doesn't
you-
work for me.
I haven't gotten to it yet. I knew it was in there already.
Yeah.
Thank you, YouTube. But I mean, they pretty much give you the old gods of Asgard from the beginning, and I remember the old gods of Asgard from Remedy's other games, and I have all of their songs. Like, I bought all their songs off iTunes.
Oh
already.
wow.
They're,
So
they're,
for me, that was a treat. I love the old gods of
Wow.
Asgard.
Interesting.
their album is like number 10 on iTunes right now.
Wow. I thought it was the most milquetoast power metal song I've ever heard in my.
Oh, dude, they've got so many better songs than that one. Oh, I wanted them to play. There's a song that's got a deeper impact to the story later on in the game that they should have played. That
Right.
wouldn't have been as spoilery as the one that they did.
I think
but-
that they did the one that they did probably because that was like the musical number.
Yeah,
like,
it was the
like,
musical number.
It's an iconic part of the game, right?
Yeah, but like it's like the ashtray maze where it's supposed to be a surprise, and when you get to it, you're like, oh, okay, they're doing something cool here, and they just here world. Here's a
Man,
spoiler for our game. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm not super hot on it. I thought it was cool. I'm glad. I was really happy to see Sam Lake out there dancing along with them and whatnot. It was cool to see the whole cast up there actually performing it live. But
It was cool. It was cool to see Max Payne in person. Yeah.
I haven't quite sorted my feelings out on the game. I like it a lot for sure. I don't know where it falls into my list of games of the year because I haven't
Mhm.
finished it yet. But I'm having a really good time with it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if you've played Control, there is
Mm,
This game feels more like a sequel to Control than it does a sequel to Alan Wake, or
Oh.
just as much, I guess.
right.
There's
Like,
there's a lot of FBC in there.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much, and they just keep putting more and more Control into it, and it's great.
That's
It's
awesome.
great.
Very cool. All right, Mateo, number 3.
Ooh, number 3. For number 3, we're still going a little indie on this one, or at least not super popular,
Sure.
I guess. Darkest Dungeon
Baldur's
2.
Gate 3. Oh, sorry.
Nice.
Dude,
Yeah.
Darkest Dungeon 2.
Nice.
It
True
is
indie. A true indie.
it is like they took the first game and all my complaints about it and somehow they pulled them out of my head and they were like, cool, we're gonna take the same like environment and the same combat style and whatnot, but we're gonna make the game way better. So Mateo likes it, and they accomplished it. I loved it.
Sick.
All the stuff they pulled out from the first game, it's fine. I love all the new stuff instead. I like having my little wagon that I'm navigating. I like the splitting paths, the way that it's represented. The art style is still amazing. The characters they added
Yeah,
in are
so
great.
good.
I like the relationships stuff between the characters. I think they improved on the formula from the previous one. It's great, man. It's hard, but like I'm such a sucker for like these deck building run based games that it is just I put hours into this game. I put so much time into this game.
Is this a game
Yeah.
that you can beat, Mateo?
I have not beat the game.
Eventually.
I've beat.
This is a game you think you can beat.
I don't know, dude. Some of these boss fights are impossible sometimes. Or you'll reach the boss and all your people hate each other, so like then everything
Yeah,
just
the
falls
party's
apart.
just dysfunctional. Yeah. No, I'm
Is
really
it is
looking...
it?
Oh, sorry. guys.
Sorry. No, I just wanted to know. Like, do we count this? Is this an Oregon Trail like? Do we?
Ooh, I like that distinction a lot, actually.
That's actually a very apt comparison, I think.
Yeah.
I dig that.
That's
I
That's really
like that
good,
a lot.
Steven. It's really good.
I'm sure dying of dysentery is probably a thing that can happen.
Yeah,
But, yeah, I'm looking forward to biting into this game. I've just been holding off because it's just like they keep patching it, and like the patches are like substantial. It's not just like
Oh, they're
bug fixes
beefy.
and balancing. It's like adding new content, like mixing how like the actual game mechanics work, adding new game mechanics, adding new characters. So I'm just trying to hold back until it's like done, you know. But,
yeah, no,
Pretty
I
dark.
definitely understand that. The patch notes have definitely been cool. I've read some of them and I'm like, okay, I guess I
Well,
need to run on this boss again because it looks like they made him a little bit easier in the patch notes.
yeah. My favorite change to the game is just that it's more of like almost like a chess match in the combat because they've removed RNG. It's like there's not like a chance to miss or a chance to apply a status effect. It's like if you attack this enemy, you're gonna hit. If you use this move that applies a status effect, it's gonna apply a status
For
effect.
sure.
But like the same goes for the enemy. So it's like you can really plan and like think out everything and execute, a plan. So it's very strategic. It's
I
cool.
love stuff like that though, like Into the Breach where the enemy tells you
Yeah.
exactly what they're gonna do every single turn.
Exactly.
Give me that. I
Oh,
love
that sucks. It's so hard. That game is so hard. Let's not talk about that.
Cool. All right. And Wes, number 3.
Number 3, Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yep.
Mhm.
Enough said. We can keep going. We
Enough
talked about it already.
All right. My number 3 is The Last Faith, which I just beat. Shout out
Oh,
to
yeah.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, and that was a solid game. That was like 20 hours.
I love to hear that.
so,
That makes me so happy.
yeah. Shout out to friend of the show, Wout, over at PlayStack. Sent us a code for review impressions. But I was very, very pleasantly surprised by this game. I mean, it's in my top 5. Probably, like it's like up there in the order of like Metroidvanias of like, like my top 5 Metroidvanias probably.
Holy
But
crap. Really?
I mean, it's
Wow.
That's
So if you
awesome.
have any love for the Metroidvania genre or the Souls-like genre, because this game is both. It has like Souls-like sort of combat mechanics and character building, but Metroidvania everything else, then I'd say this game was a must-play. It's weird with this game, like it has like strangely middling below average reviews, and then you have like Blasphemous 2, which is like GOTY contender for some people, and
I just
It-
finished that game and it's fine.
yeah, like
You know,
I just
it's like it's not
I,
Not Goaty.
Not
I
that
look
great.
I look at the criticisms and it's stuff like, oh, I'm so tired of like the like vague world building from Souls games. I don't understand what's going on in this game. Screw that. Or like the voice acting's terrible in this game. And like that's just like I don't get it. Like all the dialogue in this game is like fully voiced and like the dialogue is actually like very well done, the voice acting. So I just don't understand the criticism at all. But
I also like, no offense to the voice actors, that's awesome if it's great, but like who plays a Metroidvania for voice acting? Like
sure.
I'm there to jump and slash. Like,
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I'm so
shouldn't be like
glad
a
that my
negative.
dyslexic ass won't have to try and read all
Exactly,
the
yeah.
dialogue,
true,
dude.
yeah.
But this just feels like the kind of game that would come out and be like unpolished or buggy or something. But like everything about this game is just extremely on point and polished. Like the game feels really good. Like everything can be canceled out of in the combat. You can in the middle of any combo like dash out of the way or like cancel it to an air dash. You get the double jump later. There's a grappling hook. But yeah, super super solid Metroidvania Souls. Like probably.
Hey, Caden, I need you to actually stop, restart from the top,
Mhm.
and just do it as your pitch that you did last
Ooh.
week.
You should just everything I just said and insert the
Yeah.
pitch from last week.
And
But,
you're just making me feel bad that I played Blasphemous 2 instead
right.
of this,
Yeah, now
because
I'm like,
I genuinely had some like really stupid bugs during Blasphemous 2. Like I was
yeah.
playing.
Oh man.
Like the game would
No.
freeze when you would like change
Mhm.
your weapon form, or
Oh,
like there was
no.
sections of the game where like all the audio would just drop
Huh.
Oh,
and there was
man.
nothing. And
Yeah.
Oh.
oh man, I should have played Last Vape.
All right.
So it's just like
Alright.
it's a true hidden gem, and I don't understand. Like, it's like the only people that are playing it are just like snobs with their heads up their ass about the genre, so that's why the reviews are bad, I guess. But it's genuinely like like 9 out of 10 for me, like must play for fans of the genre. So yeah,
Downloading it tonight.
It's on my wish list
Sweet.
per your recommendation.
nice.
I'm one of the weird ones. I enjoy the Souls-like games, and I'm fucking terrible at them. So
Yeah. Just to level some criticisms at it, the game is missing the ability to respec your statistics and a new game plus. So hopefully they add those later. Like the respec thing isn't an issue if you're a veteran of Souls because you
Yeah, if you
how
know
to
how to
distribute your
build.
stacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it creates a problem where it's like, okay, I'm a strength character, and then like 3/4 of the way through the game, you find this sick ass like dex-based
Yeah.
scythe that turns into like dual daggers, and it's like, well, I'm just never gonna use this. And New Game Plus would fix that because
Yeah,
you
sure.
could all these late game weapons, you could go into a new game and have the pleasure of using them through a full playthrough.
a
But
shared stash or something.
yeah. So hopefully they patch those two features in, but otherwise, pretty solid. But yeah, I guess I'll toss things over to Jonah for number 2.
My number 2 might be a surprise for people. It is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Let's go.
Oh.
Ooh.
That is a
Oh,
surprise.
yeah. That is a surprise.
I had a blast with this game. This Zelda game probably has some of the best set piece moments than any other Zelda game.
Yeah,
Uh,
Halo
the-
3's ending in it as well, so that's good. It does.
Yeah.
It actually does.
The ending is just bonkers. The way you get the Master Sword in this game is incredible, and like I know Caden doesn't like the story, but I think the story in this game is
Good beats to the story, but overall,
is actually there versus versus Breath of the Wild.
pencil in the debate.
That debate needs to happen, dude.
But yeah, the whole Ultra Hand and the controls are very difficult when you first start the game, but once you get like those 5-6 hours in with doing it, you're building like you are in Fortnite, and you're just like scaling up the wall, doing crazy shit. It's awesome.
Actually using how it tells you how to turn things is super clever. It's because at first you're just moving around the environment and then you like fall down a cliff or something, but it's like, no, use the buttons that they tell you to use, and it gets really snappy and quick. Like
yeah.
And then when you get the ability to make your blueprints. But some people go like 20 hours in the game and don't even realize
that was me. That was me. I went so long because I was like, the depths are scary. I'm gonna wait until I get stronger.
Depths, dude.
But yeah, just like the whole everyone talking about the Sky Islands and then the base Hyrule, and they're like, wow, they didn't really add that much. And then you play the game and you go underground, and it's like, oh
Yeah.
no, they tripled.
They
the
tripled
game.
it.
They
if you
tripled
have,
the game.
if you haven't yet, slap yourself in the face. But experiencing the low gravity in the
Yeah.
sky is like
It's so
that
cool.
was amazing. That was like
that was one of my favorite areas in the game for sure.
Yeah, like Mario Odyssey when you get to the end game. It was just that. But that's the thing. Everyone talks about Ultra Hand. I think we need to talk more about Fuse and also Ascend. Absolutely 10 out of 10 mechanic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. They don't solve the issue of weapon durability, whatever. But it just makes the game so exciting with how many things you can attach to your freaking weapons and just do so many crazy effects. Half of the game you'll never touch half of the effects. The amount of things that it can get you off of the ground, like bounce pads and bombs and different things, just like the amount of things I discovered over like the 7 years of Breath of the Wild being out and watching more TikToks and on videos and be like, really? You can do that? And then like they just exploded it by like 100-fold on Tears of the Kingdom. And we solved it in like seconds because people were just insane.
Yeah,
and ravenous.
the fucking fan bike, dude. Broken.
But yeah, like, but yeah, I think Fuse and Ascend is just like, man, every video game needs Ascend. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I think it like just to put a pin in like one thing that blows me away about this game is just that like the level of like creativity and like chance taking that this game is doing for being like the highest possible profile AAA game that it is just mind-blowing. Like if only like every AAA game that was coming out was like doing the innovation that Tears of the Kingdom was doing, then this would just be like a much more phenomenal industry. Obviously all developers don't have the luxury to do that. The story, they spent an entire year just polishing the game. Like by rights, the physics system and the Ultra Hand system in this game should be broken and buggy as hell. But
sure.
yeah,
and speedrunners have found out how to clip through the ground and stuff. I never did it accidentally, and it should have happened.
Exactly.
It should have happened.
Yeah, 100%. Anyone else thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom?
Fantastic.
I enjoy any game that doesn't have mechas in it and allows you to make mechas inside of the game.
Have you guys seen the Godzilla clip? Oh my gosh.
So
dude.
good.
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen that one.
A Godzilla
So the original
mech that can
film,
walk forward and shoot like a cannon or a laser out of its mouth, and they recreated like clips of it destroying Lurelin Village and stuff.
And someone did a fruit stall and put it over Ganon at the end, and then like put a bunch of fruit in front of him, and his AI is just I can't do anything because like I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, for better or worse, the boss fights and the dungeons are just broken as hell in this game because you can just circumvent so much of the design because of the way the game is.
But it's cool how they still, even though everything has a health bar, like especially the Flagra fight, I always forget what it was. But it's a cold version, Mulgara maybe.
Yeah,
like that.
The big ice.
Chilgara. It's still an old school Zelda fight because you could break like 3 things and then you do the thing.
Well,
and it's just like
that's my favorite one because you really just have to engage with the mechanics that they wanted you to in that boss fight.
The music in that boss fight is probably the best music in the entire game.
And just the fact that if you don't have arrows, you can use your body.
That's what I did. I just went down and like smashed.
I never did. Everyone told me about it. I'm like, that is such a cool concept. I didn't
it's just
even
one
think
of those
about.
like interesting where you're like, can I? Will it let me? And then
And that was the beauty of Breath of the Wild, and the fact that Tears of the Kingdom still captured that vibe of can I? Will I? Yes. And like, and I honestly think it owes a lot to sort of like that feel. But fantastic.
Shout out to the first time you land on a sky island with a Gleeok and it just instantly one-shot nukes you and you're like, nope. And then all the people in the community that are just creating like machines that can like 1v1 it autopilot,
And shout out to Hudson's child, the creeper.
Oh yeah?
Just the bowl cut.
Oh, yeah, that child. The first time I saw Destiny was sat on the couch next to me. This was pre-childbirth, or I actually had the time to play this game, and that child came on screen. I was just like, ew, and she was like, hate it. Yeah, I don't like that child.
Yeah, I will take it back to the Gleox, dude. The hardest bosses in the game.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, definitely.
So good.
I
Going
still
up
haven't
like
beat one.
Wishes.
I'm
Oh,
so
really?
into- yeah,
The-
I got done with 3 of the temples and was like, you know what? I got a lot of hearts now. I'm gonna go fight a Gleok. I went to go fight the ice Gleok. I got it down to a quarter of its health, and then I went to like the
That's the
second
fuck,
phase.
yeah.
Just destroyed me.
Yeah.
I was like, they're impossible.
The King
I'm not gonna
Leox
fight
are
'em.
fantastic. They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is just seeing people break encounters in this game and completely nullifying literally every attack the Gleok has by creating just a corner of a wall in front of you with a ceiling made out of stone. And like if you just stand under that, it can't hurt you at all. Like nothing it does works.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
So funny. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. Great pick, Gianna.
Thank you.
Mateo, number 2.
Ooh, number 2. Man, I feel weird following that Tears of the Kingdom pick there. My number 2 pick is Dave the Diver, dude. I don't know how they got everything they put into this game that they did. There's fishing, there's exploration, there's a storyline, there's restaurant management, there's so much weird stuff in this game. There's equipment you can upgrade and unlock and build. The game is basically an anime with the cutscenes. I don't know if you've seen all the cutscenes in the game.
Yeah.
My favorite.
They're pretty good.
Oh my god, yeah. I love letting him play out. I let my chef play out every single time he has a cutscene because Banjo deserves it, dude. He is a master of his craft. Yeah, I don't know. They could have just put together like 3 of the things that are in this game. It could have just been an exploration fishing game, and it would have been awesome. It would have been great. But everything combined, it makes it into this really cozy kind of like just this really cozy experience for me. I just have really warm memories of like playing this on like my beanbag chair with my Steam Deck going, just with a chill podcast going in the background and just diving around and catching fish, dude.
Can I just ask, how stressful is the restaurant management side? Because that's the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause.
Can I jump in on this?
Yeah,
real
go for
quick,
it.
Mateo?
Go for it.
So that's the part that I was most worried about as well, right? Going in, because that's not my jam. Like the thing that interested me was like the fishing and the side scrolling and exploration there. So I was kind of nervous about that as well. But it's actually just as enjoyable, I think, as pretty much everything else in the game.
Dude,
so there's a bunch of stuff that you can do to like make it, to simplify it. So you hire people and they do a lot of it. They'll like do a lot of it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
But just it's basically just walking back and forth for most of the time, and you pick up something from the restaurant side and you bring it to the person that has a little picture above their head of what you just picked up, and then you have to stop and like pour tea or pour a drink or something else.
Clean up.
It's
clean up
really
little
not that bad,
stations.
and it's very, very short. It's like 30 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like for me, anytime you're doing restaurant management, it all boils down to Tapper, the arcade game Tapper, and like, I gotta go, throw. That's like, so that's where the stress comes from, because everything boils down to Tapper. Like it really does. So that's good that it's not as that stressful.
Once you have like 2 people in your kitchen working, like it gets significantly easier. Like the only thing you're really worrying about is you have to go and grind some wasabi. But once again though, like even the stupid, like the restaurant management side of it, like the goofy restaurant management side of it, it has really pleasing physics and pleasing like reaction on the mini games, like the beer pouring,
the water, just like
the water
the water like slosh around like as it fills up, and
it just everything just feels so satisfying in the game. I think there was just a lot of love and a lot of attention even put into just the little tiny mini game details, because like realistically it is kind of just a collection of mini games. It's really what it comes down to.
AAA indie game, man.
But
it's a shame it didn't show up in a different category, the Game Awards. But Anyway.
For sure.
I just want to thank Mateo because I am loving the ever loving shit out of this game right now.
Yeah.
And I never ever would have picked this game up if it hadn't
Same.
been for him. And like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was, I think it was literally like the last time I was on the podcast was when
Mhm.
he brought that to the pitch, and he pitched it so well that I had to give it a go. And I am so happy I did. And I feel like it's getting a lot of negative buzz around it because of the Game Awards, right? Because they chose to put it in that category. That was their
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's kind of coming down negatively a little
I
bit
don't
on
under
the
I
game,
don't get
but
people, dude.
it's not really fair.
That doesn't make sense. It's a good game. Just let the game be the game.
For sure.
They didn't choose what
Yeah.
category they got put in. It's dumb.
Mhm.
It's a good game.
it is a
Absolutely.
very good game.
Absolutely. The coziest game of the year, my fishing game pick of the year.
And Dave is such a lovable dope. Too.
Oh,
like,
dude, he is my favorite. His little chubby belly just swimming around under the water, my favorite thing in the world.
Relatable to the everyman, unconventional protagonist.
we were
yeah.
talking about like top 10 ideas for while I was at Thanksgiving. My daughter and I were hiking, and what other top 10s we could do. And I had mentioned that we had talked about doing top 10 video game dorks.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What's a top 10 video game dork?" And I was kind of expressing to her what I thought it was, and she's like, "Is Dave a video game dork?" And I'm like, "Yes, definitely."
Yeah, 100%. I like that.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. Dave's Diver. Can't wait to get to it. Wes, number 2.
Number 2, fantastic game. I'm glad that it got its due at the Game Awards. Sea of Stars.
Let's go,
Yeah.
baby. Let's go.
Man, I love this game. It was just a treat from the start to the end. I mean, from the time I started. I really enjoyed The Messenger, which is the game that Sabotage Studios made before Sea of Stars, and it has direct links to that game as well.
Oh, does it
They're-
really?
They have a shared universe.
Huh.
And I don't know. It's hard for me. I think I would have probably thought even higher of this game had I not played Chained Echoes also this year,
Mhm.
which is one of my top. Well, it's just literally like my second favorite indie game now, Chained Echoes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Sea of Stars is almost up there as highly. It's really good. It just brings the retro RPG vibes hard. The characters are just full of character. Or like they're super lovable. Garl is probably my favorite character of the year. Hands
Yeah, he's a
down.
That's my
paragon
boy.
for sure.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
I love Garl. I
Oh
love
my
Garl.
god, he's so good compared to the protagonists, which actually are a little bit milquetoast, honestly. Like they don't have a lot of development themselves, but the supporting cast are all excellent. The environments that you visit are super varied and colorful and interesting, and the story takes some genuine twists and turns that I didn't see coming, which was and we were talking about it a little bit earlier in the show, or kind of before the show about Steven's playing through it right now too, I think. And I think Steven is probably going to get much more interesting for you from where you're at now going forward.
Yeah.
But the combat system and just the having to stay engaged with the timing of the button presses
Oh
for
my God.
attacking and defending it's not a new concept, right? It's something that Mario RPG came up with and started
Yeah.
a long time ago, but it's still engaging and it's still fun. The music in this game is a 10 out of 10.
Dude.
It's just awesome.
I've listened to the soundtrack so much. I'm so glad that they finally dropped the soundtrack on Spotify. I know
Nice.
Steven's got hot takes and he doesn't like the soundtrack as much as everyone.
No. Just the mining village is a horrible theme. That town theme it's hurting your brain after like 30 seconds. You're like, the first 30 seconds, you're like, oh, this is nice. Then I just want to leave so bad.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I didn't like the vibe of that town that much. I don't know. It wasn't like super hot on me. The Trial of the Mist song though, great. So great.
Cool.
You need to go check out that song. It's awesome. It's got a killer like just drum beat behind it. It's so cool. Yeah,
we got multiple songs from the soundtrack. My daughter made a Spotify playlist. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the first one she
Awesome.
ever made.
Yeah,
and
wow.
she's got like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different tracks from this game in it.
Wow.
That's awesome.
good.
Yeah.
I want
This game is also on my list. If that
Where's it
I
going to
wonder
be?
which slot it
that's
is.
weird.
Yeah.
Honorable mention. Honorable mention.
honorable mention, yeah. This game's on my list as well. I love this game, and real quick, Steven, before
Yeah.
just to bounce off the combat, the way they make combat a puzzle, and you have to knock out the different
Very
blocks
cool.
of like damage types, and then if you get it, you get the reward of just negating that enemy from attacking
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Dude,
And-
some of the end boss or end game bosses, some of the coolest bosses I've ever fought in any
Whoa.
video game. They've got
Yeah?
some crazy
That's
end game
great.
bosses.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I say end game, you get to do all of the end game stuff right before the final boss, except for the true ending.
Mhm.
So it's great. It wraps it up. You don't have to grind in this game at
Yeah,
all.
that's a point I was gonna make as well. That's really nice. Is you can just go without
Love that, yeah.
if you're playing
That's
the
so
game
good.
right, then you'll never have to
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which that's a weird criticism for me because I just love grinding. So
I was
But
just
I mean,
gonna say.
You
It do-
can grind if you
It
want.
doesn't
to
mean that
grind.
you can't do it.
they
Right.
definitely
Yeah.
they discourage it though. They make it so that you have to really leave areas and go back to them. Yeah. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to Gal. Especially there's a section where you go to an island and Gal gets his flowers at this island. Because a bunch of stuff happens in the story after you go on a ship adventure, and it's really awesome. So that was cool as hell that Gal got his flowers from the whole cast, and so that was really sweet. But also, I love, as you said about the combat encounters, the fact that like so many action RPGs have the sneak attack to start a battle.
Mm-hmm.
That plays into the puzzle part of it as well. It's like if you miss that, then an enemy can say, I've set up my super move, and it's like I can't do that in 2 turns. And it's because if you don't get that sneak attack, you don't have that ability. But the game also tells you, look, it's not the end of the world if you miss these things. It's not the end of the world if you can't do the timing on the moon moonerang or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's good to see the super moves of the enemies as well, because sometimes they're actually not as bad as they think. Some of them are terrible if you don't time your block,
Yeah.
but some of them aren't as bad as you thought. So yeah, it has a really good push and pull there. That's awesome. Yeah, fantastic combat.
The
This is
final
why-
the final boss fight, the true final boss fight was one of the most hectic boss fights that I've ever
Yeah, wow.
gone through this
It
year
is
because
long too.
it's well, and you can make it longer on yourself if you
Oh.
perform poorly, not because you
I will
die,
not do
but
that.
it just there's sequences where it's like, oh, you have to do this thing over again. Good luck getting it this time.
Yep.
You know. Yeah, it's a toughie, but it was worthwhile. It's a satisfying ending. Just freaking
Oh.
gorgeous. The sprite work is beautiful,
yeah, dude.
man.
Yeah, I'm not a big pixel art guy. This game,
Oh,
Gotcha.
and I really love also this is something that I hope that more games like this do is the actual traversal in this game, because there's levels and tiers to all of these environments and you have to figure out how to climb up here and jump down there. It's not just like, oh, I'm just running around here and there. You actually have to look and
Crosscode, unsighted, cough. Just saying.
Hey, Caden, we're talking about a good game.
Oh, right.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Shots
shots fired at crosscode.
What again? Like obviously, how they sometimes they hide, secret passages or whatever. It does feel like I'm walking around the border though a lot, just pushing against walls to see if something is
Yeah,
something
I
is
can
a path.
Dark Souls.
But oh man, I just lost it.
But they incentivize you to do that though, right? Because
Yeah, but I just
there's oftentimes you get rewarded for doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad that the conch shells weren't a payoff at the end of the game, because I was like, why am I collecting these? And then it got paid off in the middle game, 2/3 or whatever, a third of the way through the game, whatever it was. But
Get all the conch shells. You need
Yeah,
to
I
get
can
all
see.
the conch shells.
I can see that, but oh man, damn it, you guys were talking about stuff, and I completely
Well,
forgot.
while you're thinking about that, Steven, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that this is my number one, like, most regretful that I didn't get to it this year game. It was like on the short list of games. I was like, I have to play this year, and it just didn't work out. But as soon as I clear my current slate of games, like it's Sea of Stars time, baby, and I can't wait to get to it.
Yeah,
What you
for
think?
sure.
What you were gonna say,
I'll,
Steven?
I'll join you on that journey, Caden, because I've got it on my list. I've got it
Yeah,
downloaded,
boy.
haven't
Oh,
launched it at
Mateo,
all.
you're gonna like eat this
Game
thing up,
Pass.
man. You both will,
No.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
No, can't remember. Sorry, it's so good.
No worries. My number two, Remnant 2. Shout out to
Yeah.
because this game came out like shortly after my child was born, and I just was like, I can't spend money on video games anymore. And I think for like a solid month, every time Wes would just call me to just like have a casual conversation and catch up, I think I was just bitching and moaning about how bad I wanted to play this game, and eventually he just bought it for me to shut me up, probably. No, man, this game is just really kind of like a dream come true because the first game was sort of like a cult hit. And it's the kind of game that comes out where it just feels like it's under everyone's radar, it's underappreciated, and oh well. And for it to like actually make enough money and be successful enough to get a sequel that's just better in every way than the first game and to like, completely smash the sales of the first game. Game was kind of like a little hit for a while when it came out. It was like pretty big on Twitch.
Mhm.
And man, it was just great to come back to that world. And the go-to elevator pitch for this game is it's Dark Souls with guns. Which is kind of true. There's stamina, there's dodge rolling, but the thing that this game like really upped the ante on over the first one is the character builds. Because the first one you just have two guns. Each gun has like an alt fire modification, and you've got like two rings and a necklace as like an accessory for like passive buffs. But this game added like classes essentially. They call them archetypes, and you can have a main class and a subclass, and each of your classes has like an ability, and you unlock more abilities as you level them up. And each of them have like passive abilities that are unique to those classes. And on top of that, they added weapons still have mods, but now have a new thing on weapons called a mutator, which is not always a passive buff. Like there's some that like straight up just like make your weapon deal bleed, build up, stuff like that. So they can actually be active buffs. And on top of that, they increase the number of rings you can have to 4 instead of 2. And sometimes rings and necklaces in this game actually also have active abilities instead of just passive abilities. So like the permutations for build variety in this
That's
game are
awesome.
just out of control. Shout out to it's got like the 150 round like belt fed heavy machine gun from Metal Gear Solid 3, and that was like my go-to weapon the whole game. But one thing that I really, really like about this game that you don't see very often in games is a mix of like sci-fi and fantasy.
Hmm.
The game world of this game is like a multiverse where you go to like planets from different universes, I guess, and some of them are like very high fantasy feeling with like magic and like satyr deer people or whatever. And then like the next one you go to is like inside of a planet-sized ghost spaceship. It's like, if the Death Star was like a haunted house and they're like trying to get inside of like a singularity, and like it's so cool. And they just came out with a DLC expansion that kicks ass. So yeah, just really, really, really happy to see this game and its success. I can't wait to see what the developer Gunfire Games does
Oh, yeah.
next.
Have
This
you,
just wanna
game,
quick-
this game rules,
Jonah?
dude.
Yeah,
Jonah,
The
have you
combat is so fantastic.
did you install Remnant 2, Jonah?
Yeah.
I have also installed it. Why have we not played together yet?
Oh.
Yeah, no, dude, this game is awesome. I haven't gotten super far into it, but like I understand the Dark Souls with guns kind of
Yeah.
approach to it, but it
feels unique in
it,
its own way.
honestly, it feels closer to Destiny in the way that it
Oh,
plays.
sure. Yeah.
I'm
You-
totally
you can
fine with that. I
squat
love
up,
Destiny.
you can squat up with multiple people and go in, and if somebody dies, you can go res them, or they can respawn back at the last checkpoint bonfire, and without like wiping the team and stuff. So the multiplayer or the co-op aspect of this game is fantastic. The gunplay is super fun. The maneuvering and the traversal is really fun, and like it's just got wild aesthetics.
Yeah,
between the
yeah.
armor, the guns, and the world. It's insane. This game is cool. I wish I played more of it this year. So too many games.
Yeah, and the gimmick of this game, just for people who don't know, is that your playthrough, like your campaign of the game, is like randomly generated, but it's like a sequence of handcrafted encounters that are generated. So, like your playthrough of the campaign, you'll experience different events and storylines than I will, and the co-op is very cool in this environment because it allows you to get access to things you didn't experience in your playthrough if you play with someone else, and experience to like gear and weapons that you couldn't get on your playthrough.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really, really, really cool.
I had people play with me that were like, "You got this as your first world?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess we're gonna go through it."
Yeah.
And this instance in this world, wow, this is weird. Yeah. So,
What are you gonna say, Steven?
Super quickly, just I love to hear when a expands and just improves on an original. So if we just went school scorecard, what did if Remnant 1 is a
Ooh, like for me, Remnant was like easily just like 8 out of 10, just like comfort food.
Nice.
And
So
Remnant
Remnant 2?
2, Remnant 2 for me is probably like a 10 out of 10. Like for most people, it's probably like 8 out of 10. But there's just something
Dude,
about this game that
that's
just
awesome.
feels like made for me, and I just was chowing down, dude. Like I can't get enough.
That's
I played this
awesome.
game for like 80 hours and like
Yeah,
still
I
didn't
was
do everything.
surprised when you told me that you like finished it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, wait, what?
I just could
Already?
not
That's
get
awesome.
enough. I just
you kidding
chowed
me?
it down.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All
But the
right.
level of replayability in this game
Yeah.
is trying to re-roll not only worlds but instances in this
Bosses.
world, because
Yeah.
you can get every world the same that you got, but the whole
Like what's in the
scenario
world,
and
yeah.
what's in the world will be completely different.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Cool, Steven.
I've said that I would love to see an actual boss randomizer in an official capacity in a Souls game. So that sounds
There
awesome.
you go. Yeah, it's really good.
And they're working on crossplay, which is
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah. Just super quickly, number 2, Resident Evil 4 remake. Yeah.
Let's go.
Just because I love just feeling in my chest. Like RE4 is my 4th favorite game of all time because I had to put it in the 4th spot because like how good does that feel? RE4 at number 4, and so RE4R just goes right there in number 4 as well. Fantastic.
Beautiful. All right. Well, it's on to our number ones. We'll take a short break. My wife's bladder is about to burst, and I just give her a bathroom break.
Mine too.
All right. We are finally here on number ones. Kicking it off. Mateo.
Mine is probably a no-brainer. Baldur's Gate 3, dude.
Yeah.
Everything that this dev team did with this game is just phenomenal. I can't think of another game that's done a lot of the storytelling as well. The branching storytelling, the options having effects later on in the game, the voice acting. It's just it's phenomenal, dude. It is almost
Basic pick.
It's almost
I'm just kidding.
it's almost unfair to the rest of the games that released this year, just how much there is inside of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And every playthrough is different. I've got a solo playthrough that I've been doing, right? And then but my more enjoyable playthrough has been with some buddies that were running through the campaign. It's playing out completely differently. We're making different decisions. Different things are happening. One of my buddies is a lot more murder happy than I was in my playthrough. So things are
Got the
happening.
dark urge, huh?
I'm pretty sure that we're stomping our way towards a bad ending, but you know what? I'm enjoying the journey, so it's fine. It's not about where you end up at. It's the journey to get there.
There is no good or bad ending. It's just an ending.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked this because now I have a chance to talk about it. But I think Kyle Mossman put it best. He had an episode on it on delayed input, and he said traditionally, in his estimation, like CRPGs, because of budget constraints, have to choose between what he calls big people, as in like the camera's like close up on the people, and good graphics and like choices. And he basically is like the reason Baldur's Gate 3 is like just so phenomenal is because they somehow had enough money to just do all three. You know, it's just they're just blowing every aspect of the game out of the water with its quality and scale. You know.
It is the game that I did not know I needed in my life this year. This has kind of been my year of rediscovering how much I enjoy the idea of D&D. Which is always funny because like I've always been into D&D. My time in actually playing D&D is so
Yeah,
limited.
yeah.
Trying to get groups
That's
together,
about to change,
trying
bro.
to keep groups going, so hard. This is the closest you can get to the experience. Like it really is. It's like distilled D&D, and it's going straight into my brain, and it makes me very happy. There's no game that has hooked me as much as Baldur's Gate 3 has this year.
That's awesome, dude. I'm
This is-
happy for you. That's really cool.
This is gonna make me sound bad, but it's just too funny of a story that I can't tell. But I'm a professional dungeon master for Dungeons and Dragons, and I had one player in one of my games who he was just there for the wargaming aspect of D&D. Like he was completely 100% checked out when he was not in a combat encounter. Like no desire to roleplay at all. His character did not participate in roleplay interactions. When Baldur's Gate 3 came out, he quit my campaign because he's like, "This is giving me everything I want. I could just play D&D combat as much as I want." And he was straight up. He like DM'd me private. It was like, "I'm quitting your campaign because I have Baldur's Gate 3 now." So it's so funny. But
Brutal.
yeah, and just like the scale of like the optional content and choices in this game. Like, there's people that I've seen that have beaten this game, and they have like a playthrough in the scale of like 60 to 80 hours, and like. I'm only at the beginning of Act 2. Like I just finished Act 1 and I've played 90
Wait,
hours.
I saw
4 weeks ago. You told me that you're like I'm still in Act 1.
That's because I haven't played it since we talked.
Okay, okay.
I just saw a speed run pop up on Twitter today. One of my buddies on Twitter, 11-hour speed run of Baldur's Gate 3.
Ooh.
I can't even imagine how much you're skipping
That's
conversations and running
Yeah.
through things.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that there's like a 5-minute speed run. As
Yeah,
well.
the 11 hour I'm sure is like probably like no major
Yeah.
glitches or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Baldur's Gate 3. Great pick, Mateo. Wes, number 1.
This might sound like a surprise to some, but my number 1 game is also Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
wow.
Ooh.
Guys.
Yeah, that is a surprise.
It surprised me as well. This was a game that I wasn't really thinking about that much. I've never played a CRPG in my life. I have never played Dungeons and Dragons in my life. But it's a
Yet.
game that it's such a like cultural touchstone this year that there was basically it's like I can't host a video game podcast and not have played or at least tried one of the best video games of the year, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
So I decided to go in on playing a 4-player playthrough with the Gaiden boys.
Uh-huh.
So it's Hunter, myself, Zach, and Brad. And I'm having the best damn time
That's great.
every single time we sit down to play. And it's kind of like I see it in a similar light as The Witcher 3. So that was a game for me that I never really anticipated enjoying. And it's one of my favorite games of all time now because I gave it a shot.
Yeah.
And I put this kind of in the same camp because
Cool.
it's not really something that I anticipated enjoying, but once you sit down and you engage with the mechanics and you try to learn, and I would have a hell of a time trying to learn this game if I was just sitting trying to figure it out myself. So a lot of my enjoyment is attributed to the fact that I am playing with other people that have played the game and understand it and can, explain it to me. If I wasn't doing that, I think it would be a much different story for me. But
That's me.
because I have that, it's just been kind of like a seminal experience of the year. And the story and just some of the weird shit that happens in this game all the time. Like there's no other game. I love calling Caden on the phone and just telling him about our escapades. And Hunter like launched the gnome into orbit off of a windmill last time, and we got in this fight. And I got this this war horn, and these giant ogres are supposed to come to our aid, and I called them, and they ended up getting instantly eaten by these like lesser enemies that they were supposed to just trounce all over. And then Hunter and Zach just stripping completely buck naked and running around camp while we're just hanging out in camp and hoping that my wife or kids don't walk into the room.
Yeah.
Man, it's chaos, and it's wonderful chaos.
You touched on something there because honestly, like Baldur's Gate 3, I think the reason why it took my number 1 spot, it's not just such a fantastic game. It is the best multiplayer game experience that I've had this year. It's almost like a completely new game comparing like a single player playthrough to a group playthrough in this game. It's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Shout
so
out
that
to. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Steven.
no, I just want to like yeah, that's where I feel like I
You're
wish
missing
I had
that.
that
Yeah.
that 4-person experience because not having any onboarding, like I think the onboarding is so important for this
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Like I've never played a CRPG either, and so I just before Spider-Man 2 came out, I just had started to come around to some of the mechanics.
Mhm.
But like yeah, they're still very obtuse a lot of the stuff, and like just
Mhm.
how it goes from real time to turn based, and then if
Mhm.
someone else is in stealth and they haven't been seen, then they're not a part of the combat encounter, and you just think that you've just missed something, and then everyone dies, and you're like, oh wait, there's this person just corner. I'm like, just onboarding stuff like that, which wouldn't occur if you had 4 people playing. I just wish, So for me, I just don't think it'll ever get there because I just don't have that experience for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
would agree that I think like the biggest major flaw this game has is like the tutorialization is just like almost non-existent. Like there's so many mechanics that they just don't
Yeah.
like bother to even explain or like let you know
Or
that they're
like
even
you just
there.
have to learn how to jump at one point because you get put in something. You got to
Yeah.
jump a gap, and like just never get told that that's a
Yeah.
thing.
So being familiar with D&D rules is like a huge boon going into this
Mhm.
game for sure. But sick. Baldur's Gate 3. I guess it's time for my number one. Now I just feel like a coward for not making a Baldur's Gate 3
Coward.
just because I didn't
I'm a
finish
coward.
it. Because you guys have done
I
that,
didn't finish
but,
it either. I'm only 20 hours in, but still.
yeah. Well, of the games that I beat this year, my number one is definitely Tears of the Kingdom. This was almost like an Elden Ring experience for me because when I played Elden Ring, I was in the middle of a big life transition where we were moving like across multiple states for my wife to start a new job. And so I didn't have a job and she had to also do like training for a month in a different state. So I was living with some of our friends. So all I had was nothing to do and 24 hours a day to sit on my ass and play Elden Ring. And we had just finished moving again this year when Tears of the Kingdom came out. And it was like the month before uh, our child was born. So I actually still had, a ton of free time to play video games. So I was able to do like the 150-hour playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom and just soaking that in was a really, it's probably one of the most treasured gaming experiences I've had this year just because
And just
the
really
timing worked
sitting
out.
there, enjoying the story and how great it is.
Yeah. On that note, this game, depending on who you are subjectively, for me, there are flaws to this game. It's not a perfect game, but the flaws that this game has are not what I'm there for. So they ultimately don't matter and don't detract from the experience. It's like, oh, here's another recycled story beat where a sage from who knows how many thousands of years ago gives you the same exact information that the last one did. Anyway, then I jump on my hover bike and go drop bombs on top of a Gleeok and then like dive into the depths and it's just it doesn't matter. But yeah, so many memorable like set pieces and moments. Like probably one of the most memorable game experiences ever of my entire life is probably like going into the depths for the first time.
Mhm.
I think the
The
depths like
depths.
ultimately once you clear them out are disappointing to me, but
I
when you
I
first
Oh
go down
yeah.
there.
I almost 100%ed Thunderhead Island, which is covered
Mhm.
in like rain and hail and stuff,
Yeah.
until you do a certain thing. I almost did it completely
Hell
blind
yeah,
because,
dude.
and I was literally that close to the goal, but I just couldn't see the thing because it was just
Yeah.
it's like it's just it's pretty much darkness and rain and hail and everything going on,
Yeah.
and it was so fun.
I did it
and
completely blind.
Oh, you did?
I did not. I was like, "Ooh, what is this? I'm gonna go here." And I went there.
Mhm.
Do you end up getting a way to traverse it?
Yeah,
easily?
it clears it after
Yeah,
you
the
do
storm
the
just
desert.
clears.
The storm clears after you do the desert. Yep.
I did the desert and what? Okay.
Yeah,
No, it
if you-
never cleared for me.
Well, anyway, we don't have
Dunno.
time to discuss the finer points
Anyway,
of the
yeah,
walkthrough.
it's also my number one, so I just want to jump
Hell yeah.
in with
Yeah.
yeah, the depths when they're black, it's fantastic. I think it's unfortunate when you finish doing all the light routes, it's kind of lit up. It kind of ruins it. But man, when you're just traversing, you just I went in. I'm going for a hunt. I'm gonna get all these light routes. You just jump off a cliff and you're just gliding in pure darkness, pure unadulterated darkness. It's like I have no idea. And then it's like, oh no, it's all freaking the whatever the poison is,
Yeah,
the corruption or whatever it is. Oh
yeah, whatever
man,
they call it in this
just so good. And that corruption, great video game mechanic to actually take away your hearts and not give them back, even when you get to a light route.
Yeah,
It's just like
this is
you
hard
get
mode.
yeah. So yeah, great spot. So that yeah, the depths,
Man.
fantastic.
Just like a hair-raising, like spine-tingling moment the first time you just take like a fan bike through the gloom. It's just like you're in a submarine at the bottom of the ocean. It's just like you're waiting to just smack into a fucking cliff, you know?
And minor spoiler is that after you beat any major boss, they spawn down in the depths so you can fight them again. And it's just approaching and seeing the shadow of a Colgara when you're just in the depths is like, oh shit, nah. Yeah, that's my number one.
This game is up there with like Elden Ring and Baldur's Gate as just like that feeling of being able to play it at launch and being in the zeitgeist. And it just feels like literally everyone in the world is talking about this game and having different experiences and sharing it. It's just a really, really special thing. And just like, again, hats off to Nintendo for this game performing as well as it does, and like the seamless transition with no loading between like the sky and the gloom.
It's a technical marvel, dude. It is. There's witchcraft happening over at the Nintendo studios.
I want to know how many devs Nintendo sacrificed for this game to run optimally on this
And another thing that's I love the what do you call it? Where's the Minotaur? The labyrinths. One of them you fly directly down from the sky and you just dive bomb the entire way, all the way down in.
Yeah.
It's just like that was so cool.
And air and underground of like the labyrinths that they did is just phenomenal. Yeah.
And the audible horns when you dive down through that hole into the depths.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, dude. It's so good, dude.
Yeah, like something's going down and it's not good. I guess I'll throw it to you, Steven, if there's anything else you had to say about.
No, that's it. There's so many things I could talk about. It would take hours.
Yeah. All right. Finishing off our GOTY top 5. Jonah Gomez, number 1.
The best game of the year. Sea of Stars.
Let's go.
I love this game. I hinted at it to you guys a little bit earlier this year that I think Sea of Stars is going to be my GOTY, and you're like, over Zelda? And I was like, maybe. And it did. They're both really close, but I mean, I felt a lot of emotions with Zelda. Awesome game, fantastic, but Steven, you haven't gotten to some of the parts in Sea of Stars. That game wrecked me at points and brought a smile to my face, and it's just like the emotional roller coaster that you can go on in that game is so fantastic with the writing and the gameplay. It just like everything, like it just hit for me. The graphics, the art design, the music, the sound design, the combat, everything was great. There was one gripe that I had, and it was just traversing through the world. I wish it was a little bit quicker, especially when you're doing side quests, like
that's
backtracking and stuff like that.
That's where Final Fantasy kind of figured it out. And which one was it they remastered? 12, where you could increase the time, the game speed.
Yeah, Task 4 was good.
Yeah. So if they give you the faster movement a little bit quicker in the game, that would have been such
a minor thing to have to complain about. That's all you got to level at it. And it's like basically
that's literally my only gripe with that
Jonah,
game.
Does this make you want to go back and play some of the more classic like JRPG titles from like the Super Nintendo era and that kind of thing? Do you want to go and play some of those because of this game, or is it just?
I really want to check out Mario RPG for the timed button mechanics, and I really like that. And then after listening to the top 10 robots, I really want to check out Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would recommend.
I've never played Chrono Trigger.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there's so much inspiration in Sea of Stars that came directly from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it holds up. You should go back.
Those two make the most sense as far as like what you if you're interested in checking out the old school ones. Those two make sense. It's like the next two stops.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we did it, fellas. I guess we want to go around robin and just like lay out our top five around the horn. I guess I'll kick us off. So, from 5 to 1, mine was Legend of Zelda: The Sealed Palace, Metroid Prime Remastered, The Last Faith, Remnant 2, and number 1, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Steven?
Mine was Final Fantasy 16, Vemba. Check it out. Spidey 2, RE4R, and Tears of the Kingdom.
Awesome. Jonah?
Mine was The Finals, Resident Evil 4 R, Alan Wake 2, Tears of the Kingdom, and Sea of Stars.
Mateo?
Mine literally changed as we were recording, so let me make sure I get it right. I think number 5 was Lethal Company, 4 was Gunbrella, 3 Darkest Dungeon, 2 Dave the Diver, 1 Baldur's Gate 3.
Sick. And Wes?
5 Spider-Man 2, 2 Hi-Fi Rush, 3 RE4 Remake, 2 Sea of Stars, 1 Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
love that everyone had at least 2 games that were different from everyone else's list this year.
I think that says a lot about the state of the games industry this
Yeah,
year.
it's a
Like, it's just an
banger.
overwhelming amount of quality and variety.
Absolutely.
It's just absolutely bonkers.
What a
Yeah.
what a crazy year for gaming.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll do final thoughts as our guest, Wes. Final thoughts. Anything at all on your mind? Anything you'd like to plug? Go for it. The floor is yours.
Let's see. Of course, I got to plug GGD Gaiden. If you like long format podcasts, come check out our show. We have top tens. We have a great time. We do an indie game club every month. We do news bits. We check each other's how good we are at predicting reviews for games. Which, by the way, the game from the last podcast, very reminiscent. I caught a lot of kind of overlap there with kind of what we have there with our hype off section, which I appreciated a lot. So it was really fun, kind of like trying to guess the scores with kind of what we've been doing there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you enjoy that type of content, come check it out. The next podcast we'll be recording is top 10 video game ice levels or ice zones. We actually kicked off today the call for everybody's top 5. So yeah, come and vote from the big list that we comprised and help us make our top 10. Our podcast is really driven by the community, and if the more participation we get from everybody in the community, the better off it is. So we really appreciate everybody that jumps in all the time, and we would love to have even more people jump in and participate with what we're doing there.
For sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Wes. And thank you for being on this episode. It's a pleasure to have you back.
Also, I want to make sure everybody understood I left 0 time on the table.
All right, Jonah, final thoughts.
Man, it's good having Wes back.
Here it
It's
is.
like the good old days. It's really good. I want to thank all the guys that swung by our Game Awards watch party. We will be doing that giveaway hopefully by the time this airs. If not, the day it airs, we'll pick someone to do the giveaway. And yeah, man, great game, great year for games. Something that hasn't really been stated. While we did get a lot of fantastic games this year, a lot of really talented people lost jobs. So
Yeah,
if there's
very true.
anybody out there that like lost a job, just we're a small team, but if you could offer them some support in any way, that'd be awesome. We appreciate all of those fantastic game devs out there. You all make fantastic games.
Very well said. Steven, final thoughts.
Yeah, it's a very hard one to follow up. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's big deal. Oh, what is, I was gonna be a bit lighter. Just go back to top 10 like ice levels or snow levels. I just want to give a shout out to Phil Royal Valley. It's not going to make my list, unfortunately, because it just doesn't incorporate like snow and ice mechanics. But it is a fantastic Christmas town. Go visit. It's jolly. Go visit Irithyll.
Hey, there's enemies that deal the frostbite status effect, Mateo, final thoughts?
Nothing in particular, except I want to share with Wes an idea we had during the GOTY watch party. Here's a top 10 for our guidance show. Top 10.
That's right.
I'm ready.
Top 10 dead love interest in games.
That's great.
Who's the number one on the list, Mateo?
Oh, definitely Eris.
Who deserves to be at the top?
100% Eris. It's got to be Eris, right?
Hard to beat that one for sure.
But we were saying that
was a spoiler-filled episode, dude.
we were saying that God of War can show up twice because it's two different wives.
Yeah, that
Right.
counts.
That's a good one.
An unnamed female character from Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steven mentioning Irithyll Boreal Valley makes me think like top 10 video game moons.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne. Let's go.
Elden Ring.
Mario Odyssey, dude.
Yeah.
Majora's Mask.
Oh,
Hell yeah, Mario Odyssey.
Mario Odyssey
Hell yeah,
would probably
Majora's
take it,
Mask.
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my final thoughts, I guess, are just, hell yeah, another calendar year in the books with you guys. Here's to many more. I was afraid that having a child would interfere with the podcast schedule more than it did, and I owe that like 100% to my beautiful and lovely wife who, has to watch the child by herself for 2 to 3 hours straight every time I record the podcast, and she doesn't complain, and she's amazing. So thank you, dear wife. And
Okay,
Shout
we
out to
hope
her.
to see you next year.
yeah, it should theoretically get easier as time goes on, right? So,
You'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As always, I've been your host, Caden Bertha Lane. This has been the Great Game Debate podcast, and as always, happy gaming. Bye.
Bye.
As always, a big thank you to our friend Misdriven for the music in our podcast. If you like what you hear and you want to check out more of what they have, you can pay them a visit on Twitter at MIST_RIVEN719 or on Bandcamp at Misdriven. Thanks again for tuning in. Till next time.